Gentlemen, welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome to a breaking news segment of the Cats and Rats podcast. I'm Nick Levine, joined by Big C's and Vincent Shipe. Kirby and Cody cannot be here with us right now, but I'm sure, who knows, maybe they'll join it at some point. Gentlemen, Aaron Ekblad has re-signed with the Florida Panthers, 8 years, $6.1 million AAV. So what's our thoughts?
Vince, I'll let you go
Vince?
first.
Oh, you're gonna put me under the gun
Yeah,
first.
right,
Okay.
there you go.
I'm a little bit surprised that this actually happened. I think based on what had been said by each of the big three pending free agents since the Cup win, Ekblad seemed the most at peace with the idea of not sticking around. But it's also interesting that this news comes out not long after Columbus gave Dante Fabro his extension, and only a few hours after Boston locked in with Henry Jokiharju, who were outside of Ekblad probably the two best options on the free agent market for right-handed defensemen. There is also kind of a thing where if you looked at it, the best options for Florida would have been either Nick Perbix on a buy low deal or 40-year-old Brent Burns. I think Zito smartly said might as well just kind of cut my losses here and just keep Ekblad because that's the best possible option.
And the market for right-handed defensemen is so slim, right? There's really not that, and there's so many teams looking for that. And if we were to lose Ekblad, we didn't have much option, right? I know Anderson was one that we were looking for, but we're not going to give up a ransom just to get Anderson.
Calgary was being a pain in the ass with Anderson. There were starting.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I have to think Zito did call Craig Conroy, the Flames GM, about Anderson. Probably heard the asking price and was either I won't pay that for Anderson or I just can't pay that for Anderson. I feel like the latter is probably more true. But the AAV is actually a really good deal at 6.1 in this cap market. Ekblad, if he had hit the market, probably would have gotten 8.5.
Yes, and I think a lot of people have been on Ekblad for what he was getting before, not being able to stay healthy, and especially with what he did last year with the PEDs. I think he's like, he did us a favor. He did the fan base a favor. He's like, you know what? And he told me personally that he loves it here. His brother told me he loves it down here in South Florida. He would do anything to stay down here. And if this doesn't go to show you what that's not enough. I mean, literally took a big pay cut to stay in South Florida.
I think you take a look at, there's a lot of talk. Oh, you take pay cuts to stay down here. Aaron Ekblad, the epitome of that right now. I mean, he left a lot of money on the table. I mean, $8.5, $9 million is what he would have gotten on the open market. And not only do you take a pay cut from what you would have gotten, he's making less now than he was on his previous deal.
Yes.
Like you thought maybe you would have had to at least have to match what he was making beforehand. At least. And now you take a look at their top four core defense core right here. Forsling, Ekblad, Mikala Jones locked up. And the other part I like about this too is like, okay, if it doesn't age well, fine. We don't know anything about the trade protection just yet. This happened about 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes ago. There is no details on the no move clause, no trade clause, which Vince, I'm assuming, is going to be in there.
I'd have to think there's something. I don't think Ekblad would simply just hand Zito a blank check and say, just whatever number you put, I'm taking that. I'd have to think there was a little bit of push and pull, and I'm sure there's some trade protection. I think Ekblad and his agent probably smartly would say, if you're going to get us at this pretty nice pay rate here, I think we deserve a bit of a say over where we go if it ever comes to the point where I've got to go somewhere else. So I'd have to think there's some kind of trade protection in there.
And there was always like reports out there and people saying like there was a pay cut deal on the table for Ekblad, that it was in his court. I mean, we weren't going to budge, but I mean, this is huge for the Panthers because it allows, obviously, with the rising cap to, okay, you're going to have a legit top four now on pretty good deals. And the other part is when this does age 3, 4, 5 years down the line, you're able, even if you need to retain $1 million or $2 million, or you need to buy it out, it's going to be very easy to get rid of. It's not one of these $8-9 million deals that, okay, in still a couple of years, you're going to have to really, retain some money or have to try to find a way to get rid of it. Now it becomes a very movable contract, especially towards the end, but it gives you for the next couple of years what you need.
I got a question for you, Nick. This deal that Ekblad just signed or will sign, how do you feel now about the Bennett contract?
The thing about the Bennett contract is I don't think he's an $8 million player, but I think and I don't mean to say this like, conceit, like braggadociously, but like we're that good, we can handle like some bad deals. Like it works for us.
Like it's not a horrible deal, but it's not something that you want.
It's not an $8 million player. 6.1, it makes it a little bit more digestible. But it's clear that the way we're going with this is the next 2, 3, perhaps 4 years, I'll extend that far. You're thinking you're getting at least another cup, probably hoping for 2. And that's the window, right? And then you have to start to adjust. But I think the next 2 to 4 years, we're maximizing this 2-4 year window we have. That's my view of it. Vince, I know we've talked about like Lundell and maybe some other younger options, but this is clearly what the thought is.
Well, one thing to keep in mind with the Bennett deal is there's a no move clause for only 5 years, which I don't remember who said it, but it led to someone saying that it seems like Zito's aiming for 2030, like just the window goes to 2030, which is not crazy because, by 2030, Ekblad and Bennett will both be in their mid-30s. Yep. Jones will be, how old will Jones be? Like 36, 35?
Yeah. I mean, again.
And, Barkov and Reinhardt, we've said their games will age well. I still think that.
Yeah.
But, on the back end, there would need to be a changing of the guard in about 5 years' time. That's just the way it would go. It would happen whether they kept Ekblad, whether they didn't. So I can't blame Zito for saying, all right, this is our window. It goes till probably about here, and then we go from there. I think that's what he's thinking. Mm-hmm. And the main thing is he's got a plan. That's more than can be said for some of the moves this team made in the long-term past, I guess.
But I'll say this. When you take a look at the long-term approach of this team, and I'll talk about Brad Marchand here for a second. A lot of people are saying
we'll get to your guys' Brad Marchand question here, guys, in a second. But go ahead, Nick.
Bill Zito, he deserves some credit. Aaron Ekblad does though too. And the thought was there was, I think 2, 3, 4 hours ago, Elliot Friedman, Emily Kaplan said Ekblad's probably gone. Now, Marchand, that's not completely out of the books, I don't think. I think you move Evan Rodriguez and then you sign Brad Marchand to a multi-year deal. You're able to kind of make some things work there, especially you have a cheap backup goalie. I think, Balinskis would start the year at 6th defense, right? Like there is an option for Brad Marchand.
Don't forget about Magma. I think he's a really good defenseman too.
That would be a 7th defense option, but there's still some options for Brad Marchand to stick around. So we'll see what happens there. Obviously, we don't know yet. I think a lot of us are kind of surprised because I thought all of us were expecting Aaron Ekblad to walk. Everything that was being said.
Yeah, I think we had figured, especially with Jones coming in, that there was an attitude or at least the mindset of, okay, we're probably going to need to replace him. I think what just happened was the way the market played out, there were no good options. And it was either you keep Aaron Ekblad or you're betting on 40-year-old Brent Burns and kicking the can down the road another year, or you try Nick Perbix there and see if he can do a job in a top 4. The
Yeah, and I don't.
safest bet was keep Aaron Ekblad, and he's very selfless to do the team a huge solid and take a lot less money. Like, he is not even getting $50 million total on this contract when he could have gotten, sorry, mental math isn't great, but he could have gotten almost 60 on the open market if he was getting 8.5 for 7 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think Aaron Ekblad deserves a lot of credit. And again, rock and roll all day. We heard Detroit, Ekblad, Detroit, Ottawa, Utah, Toronto. Other teams there.
I had thrown Carolina around because I knew they needed some help on the right side. I had thrown Dallas around, but they didn't clear any money. So there were a lot of teams that you could at least kind of connect the dots and say, okay, they could use Ekblad. They could be interested in Ekblad. So I don't think he was going to be short of suitors if he had hit the market.
No, and again, I'm a little shocked, to be completely honest with you. I did not.
I think we all are, but I'm not that completely shocked just because I know how much he likes it here in Florida. The question was, what was it the money or was it the term? And
he wanted term, and again,
yeah,
I think it was just in his court. He took some time to decide it. If I had to guess, I would say this offer has been on the table for quite a bit. There's no doubt the Panthers looked at other options. Rasmus Andersson, I know they called, but Calgary's being a pain in the ass with Andersson. They want a lot. They're kind of hoarding him a bit.
Mm-hmm.
There was talk of Vegas wanting Andersson, but Calgary wanting a little bit too much. And I think they thought, okay, let's see what happens with Ekblad.
Well, especially with what they gave up for Tkachuk. I don't think they wanted to make another deal and be like, let's make another deal to Florida, and it bites us in the butt. So
also I think Conroy understood, teams that want a right shot defenseman with the UFA market being so thin, the teams that need one, Andersson becomes their best option, and he can use that. He has the leverage because there's so many teams that are going to want a guy like Rasmus Andersson at that cap. He makes $4.5 million right now.
Yeah.
Would you rather do that or go out into the market and take a chance on Brent Burns? To me, that's an easy choice.
No, and I think again,
so I can't blame Craig Conroy in Calgary if they're like, well, we have the leverage. We're going to try and get as much money get as much assets as we can out of it. I can't blame them. It's what I would do if I had that job.
Yeah, and you take a look at, there are a lot of reporting. I'm kind of shocked this happened. Pierre LeBrun of TSN, a bunch of other people, they were saying Aaron Ekblad, that was kind of like the last of their options, like priorities, really. I believe. I think it was Bennett number 1, Marchand 2, and then Ekblad 3. I think that was the consensus for most insiders. And to see this kind of play out the way it did. Now, shout out to Matthew H. He wants his W. He did tweet out and he did tell us that there was a long-term deal at around the $5 to $6 million range, which we had talked about as a possibility, and that's what they were waiting on. That does seem to be the case. Everything else was reporting that Brad Marchand was returning to Florida. However, other teams are in on him. I don't know how much this changes the fact. I mean, Zito did comment he wants to bring back all 3. I thought a lot of us thought that was,
because every year at the end of the season, he does say he wants to bring everybody back.
Yeah, and I think
he's not gonna publicly say, "Oh, I 1,000% don't think I can bring this guy back," or "I'm not going to bring this guy back."
Right. Yeah, and I'm happy with this deal. I'll say though, I mean, looking for the long-term interest in this team, you have Aaron Ekblad.
And we can honestly say he's going to retire a Panther now, maybe. So, that's the guy who was drafted first overall to Florida will be here for a long time. And I think a lot of fans, there's half the fans that hate him, half the fans that love him. the fans need to like look at this deal and show the love to Ekblad because he left a lot of money on the table, a lot of money, and
I
for
want
him
to
to take
pose.
that, go ahead.
I want to pose a question to you too, and then I'm sure people in the comments will want to answer this too. Um, do you think Ekblad's number goes up to the rafters once his career is over?
Whew.
Maybe. I mean, I'm
I
not
mean,
sure. Not sure. I
let's
mean, I'll just say
hey,
this.
hey, if we win another championship, another one or two, absolutely, why not? I mean, he would probably etch himself as one of our best defensemen to ever play in Panther uniform.
Statistically, I would say he already is.
Yeah.
And how many records? I get it. We haven't had that great of a franchise history with our defensemen, but how many career stats for a defenseman is the top of the leaderboard number 5? It's a lot. It's a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just shocked a bit right now.
I think we all are.
Everybody
I-
thought, and realistically, the injury, it was a concern, the injury history. Like, we weren't
And
going to give
that-
Ekblad what he wanted.
And I think that's what we were worried about is giving him a long term to big money. I think we all thought maybe he would get the 8x8 deal, right? Somewhere around that range. I mean, to get 8 by 6.1, just a freaking amazing. I'm ecstatic. I'm so ecstatic, guys.
Yeah, I mean, and now you take a look at moving ahead here. Brad Marchand is a pending UFA. There have been talks still today from credible sources. What's his name? Jimmy Murphy?
Yeah.
Boston. Emily Kaplan of ESPN reporting that it's decent chance Marchand does stay.
And I think he said there's reports that I believe a team in the West wanted him, Utah. But he's
I would
known,
assume Utah.
But
he doesn't fit the height mold that Bill Armstrong likes in his players, but he certainly fits the play style that Bill Armstrong wants Utah to play.
Right. But the thing is, he doesn't want to go out west. So that's another thing. So it's either the 3 teams. It's Toronto, Florida, or Boston. And it's crazy to think that Boston is still has a chance to get him back, especially with what happened before the trade deadline.
Yeah, and there's also, I think,
to me, it's not that crazy though, because he spent a good 17 years of his career in Boston.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes it's the classic saying, you don't really know what you have until it's gone. You know, I can't blame Boston if they went back to him with kind of a bouquet of flowers and a box of chocolates with sorry written on the front. And, you know, he's like, oh, Don Sweeney, I can't stay mad at you. I could see him going back to Boston because long term, that is home for him. Like, you know, you spend 17 years of your life in one place and you win a championship because he did in 2011. That place is going to mean a whole lot to you. So if you have an opportunity to go back, why wouldn't you?
And I think this was a big year for Aaron Ekblad. I think if you would have said this a year ago, I think the consensus was that he's probably gone. If you would have said, heck, after the Seth Jones trade, he's probably gone, especially right after that 20-game PED suspension. I think a lot of people, a lot of opinions on the contract. I'll even admit, I thought he was gone. I didn't think he was going to come back. I'm shocked he came back, but I think he deserves a lot of credit. A lot of people say they want to take a pay cut, that they're going to do. Aaron Ekblad actually did it. And he took a pretty big one too. I know it's the extra 8th year, $6.1 million. He was going to get 9.5 on the market. Now, I think that would have been an overpay on the market, but nonetheless, he still would have gotten paid it. And I agree with MJ here. I didn't like the price for Bennett, but I'm okay with if we're in the full understanding that the next 2 to 4 years is the maximum winning window for this team, then that's it. They're going for another 1-2 cups in the next 3 or 4 years. They're going all in on that, and they're trying to maximize this window. It's a lot shorter now than maybe potentially other things, the Ekblad thing, it kind of evens out with the Bennett thing. So
Yeah.
I think they're betting it all on this window. There were a lot of different reports and rumors out there. But again, we know at this time it's very fluid. Everything can change minute to minute.
Real quick, I want to give a shout out to our chat, people in our chat. We have
Yes.
about 65 people on my channel, on the Big C Show, and on the Cats and Rats podcast, and on the Facebook page. Thank you guys for joining us here on the breaking news. We really appreciate the love. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, and feel free to share this, guys. We couldn't have done this all without you. Going back to the Marchand guys, where do you guys, if he would sign elsewhere, where would you like to see Brad Marchand go? I personally do not want to see him in Toronto.
I don't.
That's just me.
I said this last time. Every report suggested that, okay, Marchand, whether it's been Pierre LeBrun, Emily Kaplan, anybody thought Marchand was staying. I don't personally care where he ends up. I think you have a 37-year-old, had a very good year on a third line on one of the best teams. Well, I'll ask the chat. We agree that this is one of the best roster constructions in 21st century, right? Right? I mean, Vince, Caesar, chat. I mean, would we all agree with
objections
that?
here.
I mean, so you add Brad Marchand to an unbelievable top 9 group. I thought it just fit. It was an excellent fit at an excellent time. And a lot of people don't remember this. He really wasn't that good in Boston the last 2 years. I mean,
No.
He started to decline. He wasn't the same player that he was.
And was
No.
it that he wasn't the same player, or just the supporting cast around him wasn't the same?
I think
A little bit of both.
I think the role he was asked to be, a little bit of both. When you need to be a third line right winger for the Florida Panthers, he's a talented player. When you need to be a third line winger for the Florida Panthers, you're going to be a lot better than maybe if you're going to need to be a top 6 player. And that's the thing in Toronto, is they would need him to be behind Matthews and Nylander, around with Matthew Nyes at 3 or 4. You're not going to have the depth further down the lineup that you would in Florida. Barkov, Tkachuk, Reinhart, Verhaeghe, Bennett, Lundell, Forsling, and now Ekblad and Jones in the back. He didn't need to be the main guy. He was a part of it. That being said, I think for next year, I think it could maximize your chances for the repeat. But for me, Brad Marchand, I'd love him to stay, obviously. But if he's going to get 4 years, I don't really – I'm not a huge fan of it, to be completely honest. I don't like paying 37-year-olds 4-year deals. And that's just me. I know some people might disagree, and I understand. I thought he was unbelievable for us this year. But 37-year-old, 4 years, I think we could end up, being a little bit smarter with our long-term money. And there are a couple options people are asking here. I think Patrick Kane, number 1, is an option.
Kane would be an option, but Taves is already signing in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
I think you could keep Evan Rodriguez realistically if you're not going to bring back Brad Marchand. And just keep it like that. There's also options at the deadline. We've done this before, right? We've gone to the deadline. Like, you take a look 2 years ago, Nick Cousins was in our top 9. And then you have Vladimir.
Who are the free agent option wingers available that we could possibly sign maybe $3 million, $4 million deal to replace Marchand, or maybe even less?
I don't think that'd be necessarily. I just think that
so you think, Nick, the roster that we have now is good enough to end the regular season?
Yeah, especially up into the trade deadline. I mean, your top 4 is set. Let's go through it. I mean, you have Samoskevich, Barkov, Reinhart, Verhaeghe, Bennett, Tkachuk, Lundell, Losterine, and Rodriguez. That's good enough top 9, not to just go into the playoffs with, in my opinion, but
in the regular season for better than a lot of teams.
Especially to get to the deadline. I don't. And then you take a look at Forsling, Ekblad, Mikala Jones. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Mackey does need a new contract, but we saw this season, he got more minutes with Paul Maurice. Paul Maurice started moving on the lineup. They put him on the first power play unit, and I thought Mackey looked really good on the first power play unit. He had 15 goals, and I want to say about 75 games. In terms of rookie scoring, he was right up there. I know he wasn't a Calder finalist, but I know he got votes for it. To me, I have no objections to kind of letting it ride with what you have in the forward core, giving Mackey more of a role, because to me, he earned it.
Yeah, I agree. And I just think our roster is good enough. Like our top
It is.
9, you don't have to add anything heck, you don't even need to add a fourth line center, but if you want, add a fourth line center for now and add a bottom pair guy if you want. But realistically, we don't need to make any free agent signings other than re-signing Mackey and Tarasov. Because
we don't need to make any major free agent signings. I still think they probably bring in like a guy for the bottom pair, and they do bring a 4C, but I don't think you're going to see him go out and go and get like Brock Besser or someone.
No,
like
but
that.
if you take a look at what we're looking at here, let's say we let Marchand walk and we have Mackey and Tarasov resign, which is expected. Mackey, Barkov, Reinhart, Verhaeghe, Bennett, Kachuk, Lundell, Losterinen, Rodriguez, Boakfist, Gadjevich, Greer with some BS 13th forward. I don't care. And then Forsling, Ekblad, Nikola Jones, Kulikov, Balinskis, Magna, or Benning, whoever the hell you want.
Yeah.
Puljujarvi. There you go. Puljujarvi could be your third.
Yeah.
That, and then you have Bob Tarasov. That is that's very realistic, number one. And number two, you will be more than okay with that roster. You'll probably be top of the Atlantic Division, top 5 in the league with that roster at the trade deadline. And then once you get to the trade deadline with that roster, you can make a move to just make yourself even better. But I really don't think you need any major moves. Now, again, I'd like a fourth line center. I'd like a bottom pair defenseman. If we're not going to bring back Brad Marchand, you don't need to do anything to the top 9. I'd like to bring Marchand back because I think it maximizes your opportunity for next year. And you have Anton Lundell. I think
and him and Luosterainen blossomed with Marchie there.
So I think that would be an option, and we'll see what happens. I mean, we could be back to again later. We're going to stay on for a little bit longer here, just in case Brad Marchand news does break or any other news does break. Maybe wait for Cody, buy some time for him. He was at a movie when this stuff happened. So
it better be a good movie that he's watching.
It better be a good movie. Kirby was not able to join us here today, but he will be here for tomorrow. Make sure you all tune in at 11:30. We're going to be going live for July 1st, free agency. Yep. And speaking of the player we re-signed today, this puck becomes a hell of a lot more valuable and happy. We're doing a giveaway. The winner will be announced tomorrow of this Aaron Ekblad signed puck, JSA certified in partnership with Caneswear. If you want, go to the live stream with Bill Zito on the video page overlay. I think it was just a free agency overview. I'll actually say that. Look it up to make sure right now.
I'll put in the link.
It should be the most recent video after this one.
No,
I'll put in the link.
The Bennett one. That was the Bennett one.
So
yeah, I'll put in the link. Don't worry, guys. I'll put the link in there. Just make sure you like, subscribe, and post comments, and
make sure your Instagram and or Twitter are on that comment so we can reach out to you if you win. So again, make sure you're in the United States. Like that video, that live stream that Caesar's going to put the link to. Comment on it. Like that video, subscribe to the channel, and comment your Instagram, X, whatever, just to get whatever. And Derek, a little too confident. Handle my new puck carefully. It has been handled very carefully. And if you want to have a chance to win, just go on over to that video and do it. So
put in the link below, guys.
While our good friend Nick was doing that wonderful read for the giveaway, I actually got a few messages from some friends of mine, one of whom is a New York Islanders fan, and they pointed this out. Alexander Romanov got more money in terms of AAV than Aaron Ekblad over the same term. And even though I like Alexander Romanov as a player, Aaron Ekblad's better than Alex Romanov. So,
Guys, this is just in from Jimmy Murphy. It looks like an offer is still on the table for Brad Marchand. So, people, there's still hope. There is still
I'll
hope.
say this. I think Erod very well could be out.
I think so too.
I think
If they're keeping Marchand, then I think Erod is the one who goes to make that work.
Yeah, and I think it helps that Ekblad took that pay cut, and kudos to him. Because I'm still in shock that he took that deal. I mean, that just goes to show how much he loves it down here, right, guys?
Yeah.
It's gonna be crazy because I could already hear Biz Nasty talking about the state tax and shit. And
Okay,
everybody
let me
else is
say
gonna-
something on that. Let me take it away.
Busy
here.
boy.
Okay.
Busy
This
boy.
is not a state tax issue. This is a hometown discount. The same one Jean Tavares took in Toronto, the same one Matt Duchene wanted to take in Dallas, these pay cuts. This is what Aaron Ekblad did. He's been here his entire career, and that's it. There's nothing else more to state taxes or anything. He wanted to stay with the Florida Panthers, the team that drafted him. That's it. It's not state taxes or anything. If Brad Marchand takes a 4-year deal, you could have more of an idea. Still, I don't give a damn. You could blow it out your ass for all I care. But it doesn't matter. He wanted to stay in Florida because it's a team that drafted him. Not because of state taxes, but because we're a good team, and this is the only team he's played for, and it's the only team he wants to play for. Why isn't everybody saying the same thing with Jean Tavares? The NHL CBA should really put in a rule that cuts down on these Canadian markets and their endorsements and these guys wanting to play for Original Six franchise. Blow it out your ass. Are you kidding me?
There we go.
Speaking of Marchand, he took hometown discounts to stay in Boston multiple times. And last I checked, Massachusetts does not have low state income taxes.
There we go. No, I totally agree. So, man, I'm still in shock, guys. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in with us in the chat.
It's a Monday. I'm not happy right now. You're damn right.
I'm supposed to be working right now, but I called out real quick because this is just unbelievable news. And we're very happy to bring it out to you guys. Tomorrow is going to be a crazier day. Lots of moves are going to be happening. Lots of players going to be signing elsewhere. And so, yeah. So what is next, Nick? What do you think is next year?
You want my honest prediction? And based off a couple different things that are saying.
What does that mean? Oh, he brings the Ekblad. Okay.
I think
original reverse retro, by the way. Best $300 I ever spent.
There we go. My honest opinion.
Put this on live.
Don't take this as the gospel. I think Evan Rodriguez will be gone, and I think Brad Marchand is going to stay.
So that's what you're getting now? That's what you're getting word?
We'll just say that's what I believe. We'll see what happens. Obviously, Jimmy Murphy thing, the Marchand thing is still on the table. If you want my honest opinion, I think Ekblad had a pay cut deal on the table, and that was it. And it was up to him. They said, this is our number. We're not budging. Maybe a little bit of negotiation here or there. But and he decided to stay. I mean, it was in his court. He took it, and good for him. A lot of people wouldn't say, I'll take a pay cut, but they don't actually. And $6.1 million when you were getting $8.5, $9 million offers other places, that's pretty big. That's a big discount. I don't think we've ever seen this big of a discount given to anybody on this team. This might be the biggest discount. I mean, Forsling at the time, I think, where the market was at that point, being a left shot guy, and we hadn't won a cup yet. I think that was a little bit like that was a good deal, but it wasn't like a massive steal pay cut. It's aged into that. I don't think at the time it was. I think right now, where it stands, I think this is such a good deal because, again, $6.1 million, it allows you to spend money on other places of your team and not have to worry. I think I'm just very pleased with it. I mean, I think this really helps us for the next 2 to 4 years.
And
And
it all depends on the first 2 years, right? Because let's say Ekblad's contract, maybe the first 2 years are not so much, and then maybe the last couple of years you add more money onto it. It helps us maybe add that Brad Marchand and maybe other pieces too.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it helps us in the next, 24 to 48 hours too. We have $4.9 million now, which does make keeping Marchand a little bit easier if you can move out Erod. And then you still have, again, you have Mackey and Tarasov to extend. You have two minor holes on the roster to fill in 4C and 6D. But you can fill those and then still have enough cap left over to accrue money for the deadline. You hear GMs talk a lot about prioritizing financial flexibility. Well, having Aaron Ekblad take this discount to keep him around, it does give you a lot of flexibility because it means you don't have to have a huge downgrade on the back end from going from Ekblad and Jones as your top two on the right to like Jones Burns or Jones Perbix, as I've been saying is probably would have happened.
Right.
Yeah. Now, if you get Jones or not Jones, if you get Perbix or Burns, you can just throw them on the third pair, and it's like, okay, that's fine.
I don't think that's entirely necessary because we know they like Balinskis, Vince. He played 76, 77, pretty much the whole year for them,
And
played a number of playoff games.
Yeah, that's true, but I do think there is also a thought of we don't want to be too thin on the back end depth-wise in case of injuries.
Yeah.
Because if they don't sign anyone, then who's your 7 going into the year is probably Mike Benning. I like Mike Benning in a good year, good second preseason in Charlotte. But after him, it's like, you going to trust Matt Kierstad to play pro games?
Vince, I think the plan would be, if they don't get another defenseman, which I'm not saying they won't, I think they will, is to go to the deadline with that as your starting 6 in the defense.
Which I wouldn't be opposed to at all. I'm just saying I feel like knowing the way that Zito and the organization operate, I think they would rather have too many defensemen than too few, if that makes sense. Because, I mean, we saw it the past 2 years where, they lost Mike Riley on waivers, and then they lost Adam Boquist on waivers, both to the Islanders, which, if I had a nickel for every time we lost our 7th D to the Islanders, I've had 2 nickels. Not a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice. But it shows they prioritize having bodies that they can trust to play NHL games.
Yeah.
Rather than, okay, we'll just give the 7 spot to a young guy. And then, if someone gets hurt, it's, who's next up? They have, they like to have probably on the organizational depth chart be at least, 8, maybe even 9 guys deep on the back end. Can't blame them. Because, obviously, as much as I love Aaron Ekblad, this is his jersey I'm wearing, he does have an injury history. We know something could happen to Mikkola, to Kulikov, to anyone. So It helps to be like, you're throwing someone in there you can trust instead of, hey, Miklas Havorka, you want to play NHL games?
Yeah, I think more than likely we're going to get a league minimum guy, probably one of these buyout guys. I think Burns could be an option. I think John Klingberg. I think John Klingberg is also potentially an option.
If you're looking for a puck mover, Klingberg is almost certainly an option.
Yeah, and I think with Perbix, that's more $2.5-3 million range, I believe he can fetch on this market. You're a right shot defenseman. You're getting a multi-year deal when you're getting $2-3 million at the bare minimum, right? So
watch how much Nate Schmidt's going to get.
Nate Schmidt, he can play both sides. He's a left shot guy, but
he's probably getting 3x3.
I would around the Ekman Larson think 3x2.5, 2.75, 3, and good for him. I mean, he started off the year a little bit rough, but I mean, I would say about 25-30 games in, especially around the new year. I think he was very steady, solid, 17, 18 minutes a night, when we had some injuries, suspensions, or whatever, he stepped up to the plate, and I thought he did a really nice job.
And of course, Nick, who can forget in the first round against Tampa, he just took him over his knee and broke him in half in what, the first 3 games?
A lot of, I think there were a lot of comparisons.
Shout out to our boy Kirby, who's actually on his way home, tweeting after the deal was made. You know, Ekblad and Camp get the full max years. Big win for Ekblad with age and injury history. Miss you, Kirby. Hope you get home safely.
Yes.
We're holding down the fort here for you. Can't wait to be with you on tomorrow.
Yeah, and this kind of makes tomorrow a little boring for us, for the Panthers. unless something comes out of nowhere. I mean, fucking
Nick, if there's one thing you know about me, it's I find excitement in a bunch of fourth-round picks. I can find excitement in signing a fourth-line center and third pairing defenseman.
Honestly, we didn't think that Brad Marchand. We didn't think the Brad Marchand trade would happen then, right? We were like waiting until the last minute, Nick. And what happened? Literally, just anything.
Well, there was news. There was news. I don't know if you remember. He went to Vegas. Chris Johnson reported.
It was like literally minutes before that, right? And we thought,
TSN. I think we were on with Nick Fairbanks, Chris Johnson, or Darren Drager. One of the guys on TSN.
I think it was Drager because I was following along on Twitter.
He said Raquel to Carolina, and then Vegas got Marchand. What ended up happening was we got Marchand. Raquel didn't go through in time. It didn't go through in time. So this is very fluid. I mean, a lot of stuff changes. It could change minute to minute, hour to hour, especially at this time. And I think it kind of begs the question now around the league. How do these other teams pivot? Because, and just as we're saying that, this is not Panther related, Edmonton is finalizing an extension with Evan Bouchard, 4 years, $10.5 million AAV. That's to Cam Robinson on Twitter. So I think, again, and also another guy that I think could be on the move. I mean, we talk about clearing money. If the Rodriguez thing's not going to go through, not going to get it done alone, I mean, why couldn't we move like a Jesper Boqvist to clear out a little extra cap? I think those guys at this point become a bit more expendable in terms of, the role they play. Not saying that they're bad players, but I think you can find, once you get Marchand there, a fourth line center and a 13th forward for league minimum, a veteran preferably, for Boqvist and Evan Rodriguez. I don't rule that out.
So Vince, here's a good question by Jeremy. Why haven't the Panthers announced it yet? Is there the immediate?
I think that just depends on whatever. Some are announced by the team, others are.
Is this more of like an agent player?
I'd assume it doesn't really matter. I mean, when Bob McKenzie, Elliot Friedman, everybody else, Matthew Tkachuk quote tweeted it. Safe to say it's happening.
When you're seeing multiple reporters say the same thing, and then even the players are kind of saying it, probably means it's happening. It could just mean that, the social media admin didn't have a graphic saved for it, maybe just for whatever reason. It probably doesn't mean much of anything. I'm almost certain that probably we'll see the team just say something and write up a press release, something brief in the next, hour or two, and we'll probably see it public, and then that'll be it. Because basically everywhere else I've seen it has already put it in. All of the cap sites have already put in Aaron Ekblad's making $6.1 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to go ahead.
I'm going to kind of throw it back at you guys. Do you guys remember Ekblad's first goal? Who assisted on that first goal? Little trivia question for you guys.
Against the Philadelphia Flyers, right?
Yeah.
Who
was the key assist?
Was it a defenseman?
Nope.
Was it Huberdeau?
No.
Barkov?
Nick? No. Chat? Anything?
Riley Smith.
I don't know if we had Smith at that point.
Scotty
Bukestad?
Upshaw.
Oh,
Scotty
Oh,
okay,
Upshaw.
Riley Smith came in the year after. You're right.
yeah,
That is
because I want to say Smith, we brought him in 2015.
So that goes to show you how far back we've gone with Eki.
well, yeah, it's been here 11 years. I mean, again, I kind of thought the idea of playing him somewhere else was weird, but it's like, I mean, what other option do we have?
right.
He took
And
a pay cut.
so, and I think this is huge, which we haven't really talked about it. This is huge for Forsling because he plays really well with Ekblad. We've seen Forsling play with Seth Jones. We've seen him play with Mikola, and he hasn't. They just don't mesh. It's something with Ekblad that you see the best out of Forsling, right? So I'm sure Forsling is the happiest defenseman right now on our team.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you take a look at our top four. There's no guy making over 7.1 now. Jones is, or 7 million. Jones is the highest paid defenseman on the team.
That's
And
crazy. And Bouchard's about to get 10?
yeah, I
Dobbs
mean,
got
you take,
9.5 from Montreal.
you take a look.
That's-
I'll just say this. You take a look. Kevin Ball, Alexander Romanov, Nicholas Haig. You know, they play, right? I think they're all left shot. Is Kevin
They
Ball
are
left
all left shot.
Doesn't matter. That actually brings my point further. You have Seth Jones, right shot, big guy, plays 25 minutes a night, $7 million. Aaron Ekblad, big guy, plays a lot of minutes, 25 minutes a night, $6.1 million. Compare that to Kevin Ball making 5.8 almost. Compare it to Nick Hague, who in my opinion, I think is a bottom pair guy, 5.5 million. Alexander Romanov makes more than Aaron Ekblad. And
That's
Gustav
insane.
Forsling. I just think it's a great deal, but it's the only way it was going to work was with the pay cut. We weren't going to budge, and Aaron Ekblad said he wanted to stay here, wanted to take a pay cut, and he backed it up. I think, Aaron Ekblad, he's got a lot of criticism in the past.
Here's a tweet by Dan Powers from Empty Netters. He hopes Marchand resigns. And it kind of goes to show you what the culture is here in Florida. And Bill Zito talked about it too on Sunday in his press conference. He's like, I hope we built enough of a culture that with whatever we offer, players are willing to stay. And this deal goes to show you that, hey, we built a winning culture. We know what it takes to win. And in order for us to bring players to want to win consistently year in and year out, you have to take a pay cut, right? And I know a lot of people are upset with the Bennett deal, but this deal with Aaron Ekblad, I think, kind of like helps that contract.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say it any better than that, right? I mean, so a lot of different things on the table now. Brad Marchand still a pending UFA, has not signed yet, although I think, I wouldn't be surprised if he does. I mean, there's
Marcy,
no doubt.
I'm available. Call me. Let me know.
I think you take a look at everything out there. There's no doubt there's a Marchand deal still on the table, and there's a path to keeping him.
And Bill Zito even said, we have a path to keep every single player here. It's up to them whether they want to stay or not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just very excited to see what happens here in the next.
I can't wait to hear from Cody because Ekblad is his favorite player, and he was disappointed when he saw that Bennett deal because he knew, he's like, Ekblad's gone. Ekblad is gone. He's not going to be here, and I'm sure he's at the movies right now, just looking at his phone, just in smiles. And Cody,
question: how much money do we have left? 5 million.
4.9 to be exact.
Well, then that would bring us up to 7.98. So let's say, 5.5 for Marchand. That would leave us with what? How much do we have again? 8.
So you're trading Erod in this situation
and signing Marchand 5.5.
Signing Marchand to 5.5. That would put you at 2.4. You probably give Tarasov 1.2 to 1.25. Might need a little bit more.
Question. Does the situation with Tkachuk and his injury possibly going on LTIR. Does this help in any way before the deal happens?
So
he might need surgery, right?
Here's the part where this gets complicated. So you're not allowed to put a guy on LTIR during the off season, but you can go over the salary cap, which is going to be $95.5 million. You can go over that by 10%.
Okay.
So do the math. You can go up to about $104 million in the offseason. It's just when the season starts, you have to get
there
back below the cap ceiling. So they give teams leeway to go over. It's just, okay, you have to put guys on waivers and send them down.
We could end up signing Marchand to that extension deal before trading Erod and Boquist, right?
Easily.
Yes, because it's the off season now and no one's playing. You could do that. The only thing is going to be when the season starts, you just have to get under that threshold, and that's when you could put Tkachuk on LTIR if you needed to. Of course, there is also the thing of, well, if you need to bring him back, then you would obviously have to clear the money to bring him back.
Right.
But that might be a, well, cross that bridge when we get there kind of problem. So they can't just shove Tkachuk on LTIR now because you can't do that in the offseason. Yeah. But you can go to, let me see if I can try and get the number exact for the good people in the comments. Probably, so 10% of 95. About $105 million. You can get your payroll to about $105 million, but then you just have to drop the 10% over by the time the season starts, and you're fine. You're fully cap compliant. So, yeah. So what happens with Tkachuk and if/when he gets surgery and how long he'll be out for will have an impact. It's just in the off season, you're not going to see him on LTIR just because you can't do that in the off season. It's not a thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you mind, just give me 1 second. I have to step away for a moment, but keep talking, gentlemen.
No problem.
Yeah. So for me, the big oh man, empty netters.
I love those guys.
They're great.
Would you consider even maybe signing Marchand a 1x5?
I assume that's 1 year.
Yeah, 1 year, $5 million.
I would definitely be okay with that. I don't think
he wants it. I don't think he would take it.
No, because
at 38, I don't think you're going to get much more after that, right?
No.
So him, especially because his agent, his agent's going to be like, "Are you crazy?
Like, are you nuts?
You want to get your best. This is your last chance to get a contract, to get the highest, a big contract, right? So, and it looks like he wants 4 years. And he even said it. I want to stay in Florida 4 years. Zito, 4 years. So I think it's not so much the money with Florida, it's the term. Is Bill Zito willing to do the 4 years?
Yeah, I think that's more of the question. It's, does he want to give Marchand the term? And I can't blame Marchand for wanting the term. He is near the end of his career. There's nothing wrong with the guy saying, I want to get as much money out of this career as I can. And it's not like he's only doing it for himself. He does have young kids, so he owes it to them to get.
I think that's a big part of this too, right?
Keep them fed.
Yeah,
I'm sure any of us would do the same thing if we were in his situation.
And I think, good point there. You seen his oldest son. He absolutely loves Florida. He wore the shirt saying he wants to stay here. So ultimately, he's going to go to his family, and his wife is also a realtor. And what better market than to come to South Florida and sell houses, right? I mean,
one of our wonderful sponsors is a South Florida real estate agent.
Shout out to Jeremy Beckham. And great point there, Vince. And let's kind of hear from our sponsor, our other sponsor here from Caneswear.
Panthers fever is here. Are you geared up? Caneswear in Davie is the place for all your Florida Panthers needs. They have the latest gear for our favorite NHL team. Jerseys, polos, t-shirts, hoodies, hats, and more. Caneswear has you covered. Stop by their store in Davie or at pantherswear.com. Again, that's pantherswear, caneswear.com for all your Panthers gear.
Shout out to Caneswear and Jeremy Beckham. If you're looking for a house or any property, make sure to take a look at Jeremy Beckham here at 772-475-5371.
All right. Sorry about that, gents. I can say something now, though.
Breaking news?
No, nothing breaking.
Nick
There's
comes
somebody.
on right after the ad read. Perfect timing.
But before we do, mention sponsorship with Caneswear, partnership with Caneswear, the Aaron Ekblad signed puck giveaway. We're giving it away tomorrow, so good luck to all the contestants.
Nick, quick question: is the puck authentic? Is it certified?
You know it's JSA certified.
There we go.
So I heard they are shopping around Jesper Boqvist and Evan Rodriguez as we speak.
Yeah.
So
that's
which
to make the money work.
which teams do you guys think that they'll be shopping them to?
I think anybody would take them. I think those are both decent contracts or pretty good players. And I'll actually tell you exactly. So it's Marchand deal 50-50. There's optimism. But again, you don't have to take this too seriously. You don't have to believe me. But it's 50-50. And they are shopping Evan Rodriguez and Jesper Boqvist. They want to keep Marchand. We were just talking about that. And that would clear $4.5 million if they're able to get rid of both. And then you could pick up a depth forward. I mean, I had somebody also ask me the other day, just like on Twitter or something, what about Nosek and all these guys getting lost in all this? Like, oh, they're gone.
That's a great point. I mean, Nosek was a very pivotal to our postseason. I thought he did great in the faceoff circle as well. So, do you sign either him or Sturm? Which guy would you guys keep?
I mean, it depends. I'll go league minimum for a fourth line center right now because we need to have as much money as we can for Marchand. That would be my.
Yeah,
I
don't know if either of them you could afford to bring back if you're keeping Marchand around.
So then,
I'm just trying to look at names here just for forwards, just cheap-ish depth forwards. Justin Brazeau could be an option.
I like Brazeau.
Big, tall guy, decent skill. You can put him on a bottom six. Doesn't look out of place on a fourth line or a third line. I think Van Riemsdyk, he's old, but you could pay him cheap and he can do a job for you as a depth forward. Robbie Fabry could be another option. Center, kind of running out of names here for centers. You're probably just going to have to get creative on that one.
Just like we broke it here, guys. Yeah, Evan Bouchard.
Maybe if Luke, I don't know if Luke Glendenning's announced he's retiring, but I've heard he's going to market. He's already living in Florida because he lives on the other side, on the side where Nick goes to school. But Glendenning wouldn't be a bad option for C. He's old, but if you give him a 1-year deal for cheap, Glendenning can do a job for 1 year. He's a nice fourth line center. Yeah, not what he used to be, but he can do a job for you.
Okay, I think you could pick one up at the deadline if you really.
That too.
Again, we've seen Tomas Nosek became a very good fourth line center for us for league minimum.
Yeah,
I think that's you can replicate that to a bit. Somebody mentioned in the chat here the other day, Jacob Lauko. I think he's an RFA. I don't know if he got qualified. I don't know.
Jacob Lauko, he's on Minnesota right now, right?
I believe so.
Okay, let me just check that because.
Okay.
Lauko.
Maybe we need to have Zito bring some of that Dairy Queen truck over to Brad Marchand's house. Shout out to David
creative with negotiation tactic. Oh no, he's back with Boston. Okay, he wasn't. Yeah, Minnesota had him, and they sent him back to Boston. Someone's getting a phone call.
That's me. Sorry about that.
Lauko is listed as an RFA with arbitration rights. I don't think Boston has announced who they've qualified as of yet. But if Boston doesn't qualify him, well, they didn't qualify Jesper Boqvist, and well, we saw how that turned out for us. So try it again. Why not?
Thank you guys on the chat. We really appreciate you guys for tuning in with us. Please don't forget to like on the channel. This will help with our algorithm out there. We really appreciate everybody joining us on the short.
Lauco is going to market.
Okay, so he hasn't been qualified then.
I think that very well could be an option. There's also there's the top guys like Roddick Fox and Nick Bukestad that could be fourth line options.
Hey, I wouldn't mind having Nick Bukestad back.
I really like Roddick Fox. I don't think that's going to happen. He's going to command a bit. He had a really nice year for St. Louis, especially the playoffs.
Very underrated year for
Very
St.
underrated.
Louis.
Only 31 years old. I thought he was a little bit older. I thought he was 33, 34, but no, only 31. Very nice year for St. Louis. And similar to what Kevin Stenlin got, I think Roddick Fox can get in that range. Jacob Lauco, I think, could be a really nice fit. League minimum, I think, would require, right, Vince?
Yeah, probably.
League minimum. So I think that's what we'll look for. And if you can get a league minimum defenseman, it really depends. Are you going to get a veteran that's willing to take and cup chase and take a league minimum deal? If that is the case, Brent Burns would be the ideal option, and then you have Belinkus as your seventh. The one thing that does concern me with Burns on a bottom pair with Kulikov is if you don't change it at the deadline, then you're really banking on a pretty old third pair, 35 and 40 years old. Kulikov and Burns will be at that time.
Question: does these 3 OKs by Matthew Tkachuk mean anything to you guys?
When was this posted?
Just a few minutes ago. Just saying.
I think
I think it means probably almost certainly the guys have been told Aaron's sticking around.
Okay.
You know.
I think
I'd have to think that because I mean some of these like Craig Oster, I think is Ekblad's agent. I think he has like 3 or 4 guys on the Panthers, including Ek. You don't think he would have told his other clients like, "Hey guys, guess what? Ekblad's staying," because you know they're his clients too. So
next time I see Tkachuk, I'm gonna be like, "Hey, you guys need to add me to that group chat." I mean, come on, guys. You guys already got me in the parade, so let's
Caesar, you're officially the 6th man, 7th man, whichever one it is.
6.5 or 5.5, whatever you want to call it.
Let's go with that.
Okay, here's a good question. If Zito manages to sign Marchand as well, just want to say congratulations to Jim on his 4th GM. Yes. Thank you, Sons. That is great. That is an epic
That's
quote right there. I love it. I'm definitely keeping that on our pins. Fabulous.
Yeah.
And once we re-sign Bob and Mikkola, then the following year
5 straight, man.
5 straight. Hey.
I still maintain Zito should have won it for his first year of work. That to me was his best was that first year.
What do they always say? Haters are gonna hate, right? So I mean,
I have a question. Name that's Cody's thrown out there a lot. Noah Juleson, a former Panther, did some nice things in Vancouver. I thought actually was a pretty solid player. Vince, is that going to cost a lot, or is that like a Belinskis level defenseman? I think.
I don't think it would cost that much. You're probably getting him for maybe like $800 to $900K, I would assume.
Okay.
I like Juleson. I think he's a decent player. I mean, when he was here, he did have some injury concerns. Couldn't really stay on the ice.
Him and Ole
you knew Zito liked him. Mm-hmm. I'd like to think that Juleson probably at least enjoyed living in South Florida. He probably didn't enjoy the fact that he wasn't playing much, but no hockey player enjoys not playing. I don't think Juleson would be opposed to coming back here either. And his number 58 jersey or whatever number he wore for us, it's not been used, so he can just have his old number back and everything. And we can pretend like he never left. So good.
We have breaking news. Tim Reynolds is reporting the Florida Panthers are close in talks with Brad Marchand and Tomas Nosek. Even after the reported agreement with Aaron Ekblad, he then jokes at the end, if basketball has run it back, does hockey have skated back, but whatever. But as we were just talking about, I did say
Wow.
we did say we think Marchand does stay.
I think so too.
I think Marchand and
Dude.
Ekblad. I mean,
What is going on? This is fucking
Yeah.
crazy.
it looks
I mean,
like
look, there's a lot of teams that have cap space that could use an Erod or Jesper Boquist. You know, at that point, it's like you're going to find plenty of people to at least take a contract, and you could get, a mid-round pick back that you could use in another, I don't know, deadline pick swap to pick up an extra forward.
Tim Reynolds is probably the guy I trust the most.
Me too.
Tomas Nosek, I just brought him up.
I said it, remember? I was like, who would you guys rather? Do you think Nosek stays? And I think he was a pivotal fourth line center during the playoffs, especially that Toronto series. Give credit to Maurice. We were not well in the fourth line, right? And after the first two games, Maurice puts that line together with Gadjevich, Greer, Nosek. And it literally completely changed that series around. So if we can get Nosek back, and I was critical of him during the regular season, but he did a remarkable job in that series. I think that fourth line changed that whole series around. And man, if Zito pulls this off, put that fucking statue out right now.
Fuck, we're gonna have to fund it. We're gonna
At
fund
that
it.
point, you might as well just make the statue out of pure gold.
Right? It's just unbelievable. Dude, that is crazy. And here's Seth Jones, Aaron Ekblad, and Gustav Forsling, $18 million. Evan Bouchard and Nurse, $20 million. How crazy is that? How crazy?
You want to know something even more funny with the Darnell Nurse thing? I checked this because I had a friend ask. That contract is completely buyout proof. They cannot get rid of Darnell Nurse.
No, they can't.
They can't buy him out. They can't trade him. They're stuck with him.
Caesar, I just sent you the Tim Reynolds. I'm going to send you the Tim Reynolds things right now. We'll put it up here for everybody. So that's going to make it stay on a little bit longer here. Let me see.
Where'd you send it
Near
to?
the next hour.
Your personal
Things
Twitter.
aren't important anyway.
Tomas Nosek. Wow.
All right, boys. Here it is. From yours truly, Nick.
Well, not me, but Tim Reynolds. But again, Panthers are close in talks with Brad Marchand and Tomas Nosek. Per source, he says, even after the reporting agreement with Aaron Ekblad. If anybody doesn't know, Tim Reynolds seems to have the free agent news for the Panthers before anybody. This guy knows quite a number of people. Yeah. So I would take this as seriously as I would almost any other guy, because Tim Reynolds definitely knows what he's talking about. So we'll stay on for a little bit longer. But if this is the case, gentlemen, we were talking about cheap fourth-line centers. Tomas Nosek would make sense.
If Nosek signs a cheap deal, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that at all.
No, and the fact that he played with Brad Marchand in Boston, right? Those two are very close. Brad Marchand brought him in under his wing when he first got there. Talks highly of Nosek.
And I'll just say this, the number for Marchand, I think, could be anywhere from 4 years, 5.5 to 6.5. So keep that in mind here if it does cross the finish line here. I had no clue about Nosek, but Marchand, I heard the number to be anywhere from 4 years, 5 to 6.5, but now I'm hearing like 5.5, it looks like. Yeah.
And that, I would take that.
Okay.
Now we'll see what happens.
Two things I want to say. One, Nick, if we do re-sign Marchand, are we making a quick run to Dairy Queen to celebrate?
Oh, maybe. Because
why the hell not, right?
Unless we fucking trade Erod or something in a half an hour, and then we got to come back.
We have to stay on. Second, not hard-hitting journalism. This tweet, more of just kind of another jab at the state tax people. It's from Adam Herman of Bleacher Report. Also claims Villy Lena once used him as a bodyguard once. Love to know that story. Get him on the next podcast. Quote, the NHL needs to do something about the unfair competitive advantages that teams like the Panthers and Golden Knights have. Being well-run teams that players want to play for.
just
Couldn't have said it better, right?
right. No, it's 100%. Um, it's wow.
Give me
Whew.
1 second, gentlemen.
And Adam Schefter is out of the room.
And Nick's gotta go back to Zito's office again.
No, but no, thanks a lot, guys, for hanging out with us. We know it's a Monday, a work day. We really appreciate you guys hanging out here, and couldn't have done this all without you guys. Please hit the like and subscribe button, and please share on your social media. We're definitely going to be on tomorrow from 11:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. So, for those of you that don't like just Panther hockey and hockey in general, we'll be breaking down a lot of the trades. But obviously, any major things that happen with Florida, we'll be here to break that down as well.
Probably with some division rivals as well, because, those are going to be the teams that we have to play against to get back to the Cup Finals again. So it helps to know what they do too.
Right? No,
Yeah.
I agree. So let's kind of see what does this say for Carolina? They have a lot of money and they're willing to spend. What losing out on Ekblad, because I was told that they were in on him as well, low key. What does this move with them and trying to get players, because they have a lot of cap space? What, 28 million? I believe
they have about $28-29 million. They have a war chest to work with. Obviously, we've heard a lot about Carolina wanting Mitch Marner. I do think they probably are going to end up walking away with Nick Ehlers on July 1st at least. In terms of the defense market, though, maybe they bring in someone like Nate Schmidt just to try and fortify the numbers. But in terms of a big fish right side defenseman, they're probably going to have to part with some draft picks and some of those prospects that they hoard, and they have a lot of them, to Calgary for Rasmus Anderson. Which, if it was, I don't think it'd be Scott Morrow, because I think Calgary might just think he's too small. But if it was like Jackson Blake, uh, another guy like Vlad Grudinin or a Gleb Trikazov, and then a first and a third, to me, I think you make that trade.
Okay.
I feel like Carolina is going to have to go to the trade market here. And again, as I said earlier, if the people that are probably the most happiest right now are the Flames, because that means Anderson's the best guy available, and they can charge even more for him. They can charge an even higher premium for a top four defenseman like that.
Yeah. Sorry about that, gentlemen. Just trying to see anything on the Brad Marchand front. Just scrolling through Twitter here, and nothing yet. The last thing was Tim Reynolds pointing that
Chris
anytime I
Johnson
see
reports Levy signs with the Sens worth a 1.105.
Another goalie.
the nose section thing was-
Marilainen's a goalie, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
the nose
Maybe
sec-
their backup option since Forsberg's hitting the market.
Yeah.
a lot of boring things are going to happen tomorrow. Then kind of a boring day, right?
I mean, yeah, because there's also rumors that Mitch Marner won't announce on July 1st where he's going. He wants to wait a few days. So
Really?
Say
Wow.
that Mitch Marner. Well, I think he ends up in Vegas, right? I mean,
I would think so too, especially with reports that Alex Pietrangelo at least won't be playing in the 25-26 season and might never play again. Then guess what? Vegas conveniently has the money to sign Mitch Marner. So,
would it have shocked us if they weren't after Aaron Ekblad?
I would have thought so too.
Yeah,
But
especially with
now
the way they
Vegas
like
can't
to
get him.
pay.
So,
Vegas loves their defensemen, so I wouldn't have been shocked if they went after him. But
Well, I think they're the prime guy team for Rasmus Anderson now. I mean,
I could definitely see Vegas being up there for him. I think Carolina would be too. Because I think Carolina needs to get people on the back end. And Anderson's the best guy they can get. I do think they need to get some more. I'm not trying to knock on Anderson, some big game kind of guys, because they need people who can, okay, you put the puck on his stick, you need to win the game, he's going to win you the game. And they do need to be tougher to play against. That's really the two things that the Carolina Hurricanes need. I don't know. I mean, Anderson could maybe give you the first one, second one. I mean, he works hard, but I don't know if he's, he's not going to leave you covered in bruises the next morning, which kind of a problem for Carolina's whole team.
Right.
Yeah. Just scrolling through here. And also, I wanted to talk about Vegas with Mitch Marner. He says the Las Vegas doesn't need Mitch. I think they do. I think after losing Jonathan Marchand, I think they need some talent there. That was part of the problem for them. I think they had a lot of good players that are, they had some depth, but I think the talent up front hurt the depth down lower in the lineup. So, I mean, I think it'd be an excellent fit. I think in a different market with talented players, I think Mitch Marner would be a better fit in Vegas than he is in Toronto. Now, again, I'm so skeptical of that because, and Vince, I know you have an opinion on Mitch Marner. You always said Matthews was the guy you never worried about. It was Marner.
That's true, but there's another thing that makes me skeptical about Marner in Vegas. And it's not the market, because obviously there's no market as high pressure, as kind of intense as Toronto, except maybe Montreal. And Montreal just because, well, they do it in 2 languages instead of 1. But the thing that makes me worry about Marner in Vegas is how is his attitude? How is the way he carries himself and behaves? That's not going to mesh with Bruce Cassidy at all. Because Cassidy does not have a tolerance for that sort of thing. He's really a very tight-fisted, authoritarian kind of coach. Kind of like that about him. But I don't know how well that would fit with Mitch Marner. I think Marner would kind of have to be more team-oriented, a little bit less of a prima donna, in order for that to be a good match. I think, and I don't know, I'm not sure Marner would be willing to kind of conduct himself differently when, Cassidy's not going to kind of let him, hit the gritty in the middle of practice for no reason. It's going to be, he's very business oriented. I have no idea if Marner will fit with that.
Right.
The talent will translate to anywhere. It's about what's up here with Marner for me.
And
I don't know how up here is going to match with Cassidy.
Do you think the different market could help?
I think a different market would almost certainly help. A little bit less pressure and a little bit less attention on him.
But it's still Mitch Marner. He's going to have eyes on him in Vegas.
Yeah, he's going to be a Skywalker billboard kind of piece. Like, you put him on billboards, his jersey's going to sell. But there's not the constant pressure and constant attention that comes with being in Toronto.
That's
that,
true.
and he was also kind of a hometown guy for the Leafs, and it's kind of like being a hometown guy for Montreal. It's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because you at least have a little more cachet coming in, where it's like, oh, this is one of our guys. He's from around here, so they give you a little more leeway. But then it becomes, well, he has to be our guy. He has to be, the epitome of what it means to be a Leaf or a Hab. And if you just come up a little bit short of that, or in Marner's case in the playoffs, come up well short of that, they turn on you very, very quickly, and they kind of point the cannons at you and say, you need to do more. You're not doing enough. You're the problem. So, there's not going to be that in Vegas.
Exactly. No, yeah. I agree.
And I think when you take a look at it, it's kind of crazy. Like, the whole thing with Vegas, it's like you have Jack Eichel and Mitch Marner as your core, right? Mark Stone and that too. Got good guys on the blue line. I think, and we'll just shift like a conversation shortly to Vegas here as a whole. I think what they can do with that roster, they can actually, really put together a really good roster, a little bit higher end talent. Some of those guys that played well for them up the lineup can slot back down into more appropriate roles. Obviously, trade deadline would add to that. If they're able to get Marner and then, like, let's say Rasmus Anderson, and then maybe another middle six forward there, it starts to fall into place there for Vegas. The one thing for me is I don't see Aiden Hill doing what he did. I think that's a real weak spot for them. I don't, what does he make? $5.5–6 million?
Around that much, yeah.
I don't think that's the best move for Vegas. I know they'll probably lose Ilya Samsonov, but you're relying on Aiden Hill to recreate that magical run they went on a couple years ago.
6.25 for Hill, by the way.
6.125. Okay. So
no, 6.25.
Well, more than Aaron Ekblad. And as I say this, Frank Saravelli just tweeted about it. Leafs and Vegas Golden Knights still grinding on a potential trade for Mitch Marner's rights. Toronto holds them exclusively, though, 11:59 p.m. And there was this talk of Toronto basically giving them an ultimatum, like, all right, you either give us what you want or you sign them day one and we report you for tampering. So,
yeah,
I mean, now if you wait a day, then maybe those go away. It makes it a lot less. It's like, hey, we'll just sign tomorrow and just be quiet about it, But, I don't want to focus too much on Vegas, but that's definitely another interesting part and what could happen tomorrow. I think, again, Aaron Ekblad off the market, Sam Bennett off the market. If this thing that Tim Reynolds says is true, which I believe to be, Marchand now off the market. Mitch Marner going to Vegas more than likely. I mean, you get fourth for the biggest names in free agency gone. Dante Fabro, Henry Jokiharju, other right-handed defensemen off the market. So now you're kind of really looking at Nikolai Ehlers and Brock Besser here for other teams in free agency. But I want to talk about this because Chris brought up a good point. Cats can be 10% over the cap during summer and probably bank on Tkachuk LTIR for about the first half of the season. That buys them time to sign Marchand and figure it down the road. And here's another thing. You accrue cap space as the season goes on. So by the time Tkachuk does come back into the lineup here, if he is going to go on LTIR and get surgery and go on LTIR, you might not need to move anything for him to come back.
I did mention to Caesar the 10% rule. I think while you had stepped out for a bit.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. Now it all depends because we all know Matthew Tkachuk wants to play in the Olympics, so that's another aspect that we got to sit here and we got to see how long, if he does take the surgery, how long he'll be out for. And if he does come back, does he come back during the Olympics and then come play for us? So there's still a lot of things that we have to weigh in and what will happen. But there's nothing that we can't mingle around and get this done as well. So great job by you, Vince, for giving us those cap numbers earlier. And Nick, thank you for coming on and breaking the news earlier to us. And this is why we love what we do. Yeah. Is we love our team, and this is just such an unbelievable run. We won 2 cups in a row, and for them to have a chance to return the band back together and possibly get another one.
A lot of people are going to scoff. For Guy Kirby and a lot of us, we had heard the Bennett and Marchand deal. He tweeted it out that Cody said he'll be here soon. Tweeted it out. Bennett and Marchand said, quote, all but done. It's not official yet, but if it is done, then that seems to be consistent with what we heard earlier in the week.
Yeah, and it probably is, and they're just waiting to get the news out, right? Because we know how Bill Zito works. Bill Zito is just like, hush, hush, let's keep everything on the DL, and then we'll...
I hate to interrupt. Mitch Marner has officially been traded to Vegas and has signed an 8-year deal.
You're joking.
Wow.
No, 8-year deal for Mitch Marner. He is going to Vegas for Darren Drager and Elliot Friedman. Marner signed to an 8-year deal with the Leafs and then traded to Vegas. So the Marner era is over.
I got it here, guys.
Okay, so no, they're not going to They're not going to call the league and say investigate Vegas for tampering. Then
now, you'd assume Nick Waugh would be on his way out.
Waugh's been a name that's been heard, so I would assume he is.
One of the things I'll wonder about is, sorry about that.
I'm probably gonna get a phone call from my one friend who's like a huge Leafs fan probably in about 5 minutes. So you're gonna hear my phone.
Nick Waugh, I wonder if Zach Whitecloud could be involved. They just picked up Jeremy Lauzon. There has been
8
talk
years,
of
$12 million for Marner.
wow
For Elliot Friedman.
per
8
Elliott.
years, $12 million. Yeah, I'll put it up here, guys. Elliot Friedman just posted it.
Yep.
Mitch Marner. Looks like right. Oh no, that's the Ekblad.
Wait, Ekblad got signed?
Wait a minute. Why are we live right now? Did Ekblad get signed and no one told me?
8 years, $12 million. Wow, that's actually a discount for them.
Hey, that top comment's going to get us demonetized. Block that out.
But I'll say this. Good deal for Vegas. I think it gives them some talent.
Love how the second comment is like, there's a no state tax discount. Does Nevada have no state income tax? Because I don't think. Let me check.
I think they do.
Nevada state income tax.
So Mitch Marner to the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, Nevada doesn't have a state income tax for individuals. So.
And, that makes sense. Like Colton Sissons, you'd have to assume is on his way.
No, remember, Nashville retained 50% on that Sissons deal.
Really?
Okay, yeah. So that's the Nick Waugh replacement for cheap. Lauzon's essentially the Hague replacement for cheaper. Allows them to get Marner. Brandon Saad, Riley Smith return on 1 year, $2 million deals. That's good value for guys that can give you anywhere. I think Saad's a 30, 35 point player at this point. I think Riley Smith with talent closer to 45 points. And now you take a look at the lineup for Vegas. Pavel Dorofeev and in that top 6 there as well to go along with Mark Stone, Mitch Marner, Jack Eichel. I
will say this on Mitch Marner, kind of the whole how does the prima donna thing fit with Cassidy? There was talk of Jack Eichel being that kind of prima donna, not really wanting to really win kind of player. He goes to Vegas and he got it together. I think part of it was just he was in the Hell's waiting room known as the Buffalo Sabres. But so while I do have my questions on how will Marner fit with Bruce Cassidy, it's not like Eichel had a reputation for being a, cantankerous and sterling hard worker. And then, like, before he got to Vegas, it was this guy's a coach killer. He gets everyone fired. He's a whiny. He's a baby. And, Jack Eichel won a Stanley Cup. So maybe Marner can do the same thing. I'm not going to sit here and make a full-throated defense of Mitch Marner because why would I? But I'm just saying, it could work out. It worked out with Eichel. So I have my questions, but it's not like Vegas has done this sort of thing before and it ended up working out.
It's crazy. And what does Toronto do now with Mitch Marner gone?
Well, they got Nyes on a very good contract for what he is.
So that's what I'm saying. Do you think they make that push to Brad Marchand now?
I think they try and make a push for Marchand if he becomes available. But for me, it's depth, depth, depth. If you're the Leafs, you have to get better depth. You cannot rely on Pontus Holmberg and Bobby McMahon to be second-line wingers if you're expecting to make a push for the Cup. I like those guys. They're not bad players. You cannot have them as 2 of your 4 best wingers if you're trying to make a push for the Cup. You have to get better depth. You have to get better depth on the wings. You have to.
Some interesting news that could become a new depth defensive option for the Panthers. Zach Jones for the New York Rangers was not tendered a qualifying offer.
I like Zach Jones too.
Okay, that's interesting.
So a puck-moving guy, I think when you have Kulikov, who's assumably going to play the right side, you talk about a cheap guy, take a guy on a flyer. If he's willing to take that the league minimum, and I think he'd have a bit better of a market than we would give him, to be completely honest with you. I think Zach Jones could be a nice fit for us. So that could be we'll see what happens there. But there was a lot of talk from New York that they want to give him more playing time. They didn't. New York kind of went through a big roster shift throughout the last 12 months or so when you consider all the moves they made. Moving Filipino and Capo Caco. You also take a look, they brought in JT Miller. Quite different looking team than it was just a couple months ago. Very
different, especially on the back end. They got rid of Trouba. At one
Chris
point,
Kreider no longer there as well. I mean, it is a much different looking team. And speaking of a different team, Mitch Marner to the Vegas Golden Knights. Nobody happier in the world than our guy Kirby Lupo. That this is now over. Although I'll say this,
is Biz Nasty crying out there somewhere? Is he crying? I haven't heard from him.
Well, if we can get this Marchand news soon, maybe we can get a update on that.
Right? We'll see.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. But as we said earlier, I believe Boqvist and Erod are being shopped, and I think Marchand. And then,
the person you should really be checking on from Chicklets on the Marchand thing would be, I think, what was it, Mike Rennell? Because he was the one who went completely nuts. Yeah, check on him because he went completely nuts when Marchand got shipped off to Florida. So you might need to check on him more than you need to check on.
I think I don't know. Would he be more upset if he stays with Florida or goes to Toronto? I gotta ask him. I'll shoot my.
Yeah, check with him on that.
Yeah.
Sure, Biz loves this. Yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on my last comment? Panel, hypothetical, this area to get Rasmus Anderson in a trade. What defenseman do we let walk and with harassment?
I think he meant Rasmus Anderson. He probably was typing too quick.
Who does he fit better with, Aaron? So Rasmus Anderson is a right shot defenseman. This would have been an Ekblad replacement.
Yeah, this would have been the Ekblad replacement.
You close the door on Anderson now. Now,
the only thing is, if Florida doesn't think they can re-sign Mikkola, do they go back on the Rasmus?
No, I think they'll look at other options there. But it's kind of weird. It's like, with how much the league values right shot defensemen, we have that locked up. And then you have Kulikov, a veteran guy who plays very well on the right side. It is his offside, but Vince,
he can play either.
He plays it as good as I think anybody you could ask for, especially at that price. He's a veteran. He's dependable. You know what you're getting with him, and you're not really going to have many issues with it. Played top 4 minutes for us this year. I was very happy with how he played. And I thought he got better as the playoffs went along. But you take a look, Rasmus Anderson is off the table now. Now I think we start to look at bottom pair options if we're going to look at any. I mean, Balinskis could very well start the year on the bottom pair, but I think Zach Jones on the left side, he's a left shot, right, Vince?
I believe he is left shot.
So
yeah,
left shot.
I'll check to confirm, but
he's a young guy. I think 23, 24, 25 years old. Puck moving guy, I think, can run a power play unit, especially with this talent. Very similar to the Nate Schmidt role. Dante Fabro, yes, Anthony is out of the equation. He re-signed.
Yeah, he re-signed in Columbus, Fabro. Jones is left shot, but he's listed as he can play either side.
Okay. So I'd be okay with
guys, breaking news. Breaking news, Elliot Friedman. Brad Marchand on a 6-year extension, $32 million for Florida. Breaking news, Elliot Friedman.
6 by
Caesar, you almost gave me a heart attack.
Well, Brad Marchand is coming back a lot longer than I thought.
Holy shit.
That takes him to he's 43.
Holy
just under 32
shit.
million is the total. That's going to be
I'll pull it up here.
Under 5.5.
Breaking news, guys. Breaking news.
6 by 5 is 30. 6 by 6 is 36. If it's under 32, it's going to be under 5.5.
You heard it here first, guys.
All of these
on the Cats and Rats podcast and the Big C show. I'm sorry, guys. Let's go.
We gave in to him. Wow. I thought 4 years. That's crazy. 6 years.
6 is a lot. For a guy who's almost 38.
We pulled it off. We have unreal.
We're going to Shea Weber him and ship him off to Chicago when he's 42 and hasn't played in 2 years.
can we put that?
And we're
statue-
gonna bring we're gonna bring on a friend of ours. Matthew H will be joining momentarily, very
You're
shortly.
joking, right?
I am not joking. He will be
Oh my
joining
God.
us. here.
This show got even crazier. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're all sitting down wherever you are because
Hey.
this has been a crazy show.
Wow. I'm ecstatic. Holy crap, guys!
I guess I got to get a Marchand jersey now. I need to change.
Evan Rodriguez is most certainly on his way out.
Has to be. There's no way they're keeping Evan Rodriguez if they're keeping Brad Marchand. That's not happening. Which is a shame because I like Erod. I don't think he did it. He didn't do anything wrong. It's just, it's not personal. It's business.
This is unreal. I mean, this is unbelievable.
Yeah. You want the real important news story though is I just went 0 for 3 in my free agency pool with my friends because I had Ekblad, Bennett, and Marchand all leaving. So I just went 0 for 3 on that.
I'll be the first to say it.
Thank God I didn't put any money down on it at least.
I hate this 6-year deal. I hate 6 years.
But is it a no move clause? I mean, we got to check the terms out too.
Oh my!
Because if we can move it the last 2 years, maybe it's not a bad deal.
Still, just the idea of just Brad Marchand until age 43, like Roberto Luongo's contract went until age 43, and by 40 he was just like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. So Brad Marchand, new head of the goalie.
I was just told
when Luongo becomes a GM.
The last thing I heard was five. Last thing I was 5.5 million.
We got
from
Matthew H here. Matthew.
Oh my, Matthew, are you in the gym right now?
I am, but I didn't want to miss an opportunity to come talk about some.
You should have come on in the car, dude.
It's okay.
Wow.
I'm just like Brad Marchand. I never stop working.
Oh, do you know?
Listen, listen. I'll be the first one to say it. 6 years is a long time. I'm excited.
Well,
to
what
see
were you told? Because you said 4 on Twitter.
I thought it was going to be. I was told about a few days ago that they wanted it to be 4 by 5 to 6. I don't know what made them go to 6. I mean, I assume it had to have been he wanted more term, just similar to Ekblad, where you give him more term and you lower the AAV. It kind of makes me wonder. It kind of makes me wonder, though. What is the intricate details of Ekblad and Marchand? Are they similar to Bennett?
Hello, Ryan.
Ryan's hey, buddy,
here.
what's up?
So we appreciate everybody. Again, we were waiting for this because we felt that it was right around the corner. So we stayed on for you guys. We appreciate you, everybody, joining us here. I mean, 75 people but we came on at what, 3:30 on a Monday afternoon?
3:35 to be exact.
On a Monday afternoon. So we appreciate you guys listening in and commenting and a bunch of conversations here. We really do appreciate it. 6 years is crazy.
I just want to know. I just want to wait. So what's the year?
Oh,
we just lost Matthew.
Just lost Matthew, but that's all right.
Guys, real quick, Nick. So which do you hate more, the Bennett deal or the Marchand deal?
Marchand. 43 years old. I mean, we're really locking in on this year too. I mean, we are really I mean, this is not going to age well. Depending on the details, no move clause, whatever, we'll see. But again, this is not a pay cut. Again,
no. Six years at $5 million is not a pay cut.
Yeah, so I think you take a look at 6. He hasn't quite signed the deal just yet, according to Pierre LeBrun, but he's agreed to a 6-year deal. I mean, that is
6 years is a lot of term.
That's a lot of term for a guy that's 37.
There's going to be probably a no. You think there'll be a no movement
title, Caesar?
What's that, Nick?
We might need to change the title here.
Yeah, I would recommend that.
I mean, this is just crazy. So in the time that we have come on here, Aaron Ekblad has signed to 8 years, $6.1 million. Brad Marchand, 6 years for $32 million, around $32 million. Tomasz Nosek was reported by Tim Reynolds to also have an extension on the way, and it sounds like Evan Rodriguez and Jesper Boqvist are being shopped. One of the two, if not both, and I'm sure Erod more than likely
Now,
is
it's
on
not
his way out.
100% sure that they'll be shopped because we do still have some wiggle room if the LTIR. Remember, we could keep this until the season starts, like Vince said. Vince, do you mind going over the being over the 10% until the season starts here for those of you
Sure. So
that are just
you
now
can't.
joining us?
Yeah, of course. So the rule in the way the CBA works, the rules work like this. You can't have a guy on LTIR in the off season, but they allow you to go 10% over the upper ceiling for the salary cap during the off season. So the cap is at $95.5 million, or will be for the 25-26 season. So you can go 10% over that, which would put you at about $105 million. So you can go up to that during the offseason, but when the season starts, you have to get back below the salary cap as is. That if you go on a site like Puckpedia or Cap Wages, you have to just get below that by the time the season starts. You can go over in the offseason by 10%. So we can sign Marchand and be over the cap on July 20th, but by the time September, October rolls around and we have to play games, we just have to get under that. So that's when we could put Kachuk on LTIR if we needed to. If for some reason we couldn't, you'd have to ship a guy or two out, which, we might be shipping out Erod or Jesper Boqvist in about 20 minutes. So never know. But they do give the teams in the offseason, everyone gets it. It's not just Florida. Everyone gets that 10% cushion to kind of just figure out a way to build their roster and then make the money work. So that's the way it's set up. They don't let you use LTIR in the offseason, but they give you a 10% cushion in the offseason to help make business a little bit easier for you.
Thanks again, everybody in the chat.
I have a
Please
question
make
for
sure
the
to
group
like
here.
and subscribe. Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Do you guys think that it's similar to Bennett, where we give him the no movement clause instead of 5 years, maybe 3 years? So by the time that he's, by 2025, by 2028, he's out of there. If we can move him, potentially retain half. I don't love doing that, but do you think that could also play a role in it?
I'd assume so.
Yeah.
For me, the big thing is going to be, are you going to be able to kind of, do what Montreal did with Shea Weber and Carey Price, where it was like, okay, these guys just can't play anymore, so they're either just put on LTIR, or what Montreal did with Weber, you just send him somewhere else. You never know. It's possible.
I knew it would be 2. I didn't think it would be all 3. I'm shocked.
This is kind of this is a surprise.
They were shopping for Rasmus Anderson, so it's just like during the draft they were shopping for Anderson, and then I heard some rumblings that they were trying to rework the Ekblad deal again, and I guess that's where they kind of shut down the Anderson front and said, okay, you know what, we're going to raise the term for Ekblad, and we're going to just lower the AAV, and we're going to make it work. All 3 of them are coming back, and
yeah.
I mean, I'm
so
we also
heard earlier in the week, and Kirby tweeted it out. We all heard the Bennett and Marchand deals were all but done. The one question mark was the Ekblad thing. That what was told was, we have the deal. We're not really budging that much.
And it was ultimately to Ekblad to accept the term.
Essentially, yes.
So
essentially,
yeah.
So now it becomes okay.
So
we take a look at the lineup for next. Did we take a look at the lineup for next year alone? our top 9 and our top 4 is the exact same. You could assume if Tomasz Nosek is going to come back, all 4 lines are the same. The only thing that's different is now
Erod's going to be out of the top 9.
Erod's going to be out.
I think Mackey slots in.
Mackey spots, and also I'm not looking on Twitter here yet, but it sounds like Ivan Provorov is staying.
He's staying put with Columbus.
This is what somebody said in the chat here. I'm going to check here right now.
What are the odds Marshy plays until 43? Probably very slim. Like it's rare. It's rare for guys to play 40.
Elliot Friedman just said also hearing that Ivan Provorov will be re-signing with the Columbus Blue Jackets. We also appreciate Matthew coming on, given his takes. He has been tweeting a bunch about this.
We're gonna have Jim Behringer. He works for the NHL writers here. He's gonna hop on in a little bit, give us a little bit of insight here. Really good guy. I met him at the Panther Amerant Arena. So he said he's gonna hop on here with us in a little bit. So wow.
Sounds good. And Kirby will be joining us. Cody said he'll be home soon. Kirby said he could jump on in about 20 minutes or so. So in the time we have been here, and gentlemen, I just want to say, Caesar, Vince, thank you for coming on just last second notice here.
No, this is what we do. This is why we do it. We do it for you guys, and wow. It's crazy.
What's up, David? Well, we got everybody joining us here today.
Yep. Hey, breaking news. I tweeted it out. Come on, join us, guys. Definitely.
And we have news. Everything's coming in right now. Mitch Marner is going to Vegas. Nick Waugh is going to Toronto. It's 1-for-1. Obviously, the UFA rights, but it's a decent get for Vegas. I like Waugh a lot. But I mean, I guess we'll do that. I mean, I think a lot of people's plans.
My phone is blowing up like crazy.
Another one.
That's it for Mitch Marner.
The Leafs announced they've re-signed Steven Lorentz, former Panther, to a 3-year deal worth 1.35 AAV. And everything's happening all at once right now.
Well, if Lorentz has another great year for them, they'll think they've got another Mitch Marner.
There we go, right?
I mean, they did get Matthias Vaselli earlier for just, I think, a conditional third, which I thought was a good move for Toronto.
Right.
You re-sign Lorentz, had a good year. Nick Waugh's not a bad center. I mean, I think 1-for-1 is, man, you really had no leverage there, did you? But that means down the middle, Toronto's got Matthews, Tavares, Lawton, and then Waugh, which that's not bad at all.
No.
I guess that makes keeping Bennett even more important because now we have our 3, which, I think Matthews and Barkov cancel each other out. I'd probably take Bennett over Tavares at this point. And then obviously you take Lundell over Lawton or Waugh. So the Atlantic Division is a division of centers, which I don't think that's news, but I think we're just getting more proof of it. The Atlantic Division is a division of centers.
Okay, so Joseph, welcome.
Provorov 7 years, 8.5.
Okay, so you're telling me Bill Zito's never won General Manager of the Year?
What are you saying?
Bill Zito's never won General Manager of the Year, and Columbus just gave Provorov a 7/8.
And a half.
What the heck is going on?
Should we just abolish that award? Because I don't think it means anything anymore. Because I don't understand. I don't understand it at all,
dude. Holy crap!
Jimmy Murphy also just tweeted that a source close to Marchand told him the only thing that kept the Bruins in it on Marchand was Marchand's family and not wanting to uproot them. But there's still bad blood from how things went down before the trade too. So Brad Marchand, from a last-second trade deadline thing, is now signed a 6-year deal. The Florida Panthers will retire as a Florida Panther. That's just.
Woo!
I mean,
that is insane.
If we hadn't just won the cup with him, I would then proceed to make the joke of I have to pretend to like him for another 6 years. Are you kidding?
Yeah, I mean this is insane. I mean, clearly we're going for it the next 2 years. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, Marchand is more of like you're going for it the next 2. Like, don't get me wrong, you still have the again. I said 5 years earlier until 2030. You still have the pieces. Minus Brad Marchand to compete in 2029, 2030. So, Marchand's more of a, all right, we want that bleeping three-peat.
Here's a little message to our pal here at Spittin' Chicklets. Busy boy. Let's go. Your arch nemesis is staying with Florida, baby. Let's go, buddy. That's all I got to say.
Kuzmenko signed with LA too.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is like a pre-July 1st right here. We turned it in.
I know. Everything's happening all at once.
Thank you, chat, for joining us. We got about 90 people on here. We really appreciate you guys joining us. On both channels, the Big C Show and the Cats and Rats podcast, and on my Facebook page as well. This has been incredible these last 2 hours here. Thank you, Nick and Vince, for coming on here with us. This is insane.
So many teams have basically just gotten to a point where they're just like, we're just going to keep what we have because this market is going to get so overpaid.
It's crazy. Dude.
Like all the teams that have
Columbus just paid
Anaheim and Carolina, they're going to have no one to sign.
I mean, Columbus, and I'll say this about Ivan.
Like, do we even have to go on tomorrow?
No, at this point, right?
It's been insane.
Oh, man. And of course, remember, Anaheim was supposed to be like, oh, they're going to go hard for Aaron Ekblad because, they want to make a push for the playoffs and they have Quenneville coaching them now. Nope. Who can they even get? They can't go for
I can't
Marner
believe
because they were all talking about, Anaheim's going to go make a hard push for Mitch Marner. Can't do that anymore.
Lulu, shout out to the holy water. Shout out to the holy water.
There we go, Lulu. And shout out to you, Lulu. I didn't get it personally. Was able to see you during the parade. I heard that you were kind of next to me when I was getting pulled out by Matthew Tkachuk. I wish I would have been able to see you. Don't feel afraid. Don't be afraid to come and say hello to us. We're not rock stars. We're just human beings. So anytime you see Nick and I or Vince or anybody, feel free to come and say hello.
Especially Vince. He loves.
Well, Caesar's kind of a rock star, but he's very easy to talk to.
Yes,
he's not all uppity about it.
She was saying 3 inches away from me. Oh man,
what's up, Taco?
Taco's in the building.
We have almost 100 people in.
We have basically the Spaces crew in here.
This is awesome. We much love and support, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate it. I mean, this is not what we expected for sure.
But this is what we kind of said might happen. Just be ready, right?
So now, obviously, what we have to talk. What everybody wants to talk about. Let's talk about the Panthers development camp today.
What?
Okay, in all seriousness, though, when you guys first started doing this, with the videos and stuff about a year ago, because I remember I was on one of your first ones because I was talking about the draft in Vegas and all that. Which, by the way, the NHL should have listened to me. I was right. They should have just kept it at the Sphere forever because the presentation was a disaster this year and it sucked and nobody liked it. So once again, I was right. But when you first started doing that, did you even imagine? Oh, a lot happened today, Adam. Did you even imagine it would get to this kind of thing? Get to this point?
It feels like we just won the cup again. Right? I mean, it really feels like Christmas.
Now, I'll say this, and
Should we just start
It-
playing
it
Juicy
is-
by Biggie Smalls?
It is essential now. Like, we're going for a three-peat. This is what this is.
Yeah.
And
It's not. It wasn't just words to them. of
No,
going for
this
a
is,
repeat. They are going for it.
I'll say this: I didn't view this year as like I know people's repeat, and we did it, but it's like throughout most of the year, I don't think it was really possible till the Kachuk injury.
No.
And shout out Lori, new fan, we appreciate it. Obviously our other main guys here, Kirby, Cody, are not here yet, so
They're on their way, guys.
they're on
We
their
got
way, and
Jim,
they're missing.
Kirby
Manny,
is probably
writers.
feverishly speeding down the highway right now, trying to get home in time to hop on.
No
But-
speeding tickets now. We can't have you. I don't have the money to bail you out in Canada right now. So
Yeah. Just saying though, if you play Freebird while you're driving, there is no speed limit. That is a law. That is a law.
real quick, Nick, do you mind recapping
Yep.
the latest
So-
signings here for Ben? And for those of you guys that are just not.
So we'll
learning
go back
this?
to a day or two ago. The Florida Panthers re-signed Sam Bennett to an 8x8, but we all know that today Aaron Ekblad re-signed to an 8-year, $6.1 million AAV contract, meaning taking a massive pay cut and essentially becoming a Florida Panther for the rest of his career. Brad Marchand then 6 years, around $5.5 million, coming up to $32 million. And will now become a Florida Panther for the next 6 years. Yes, Ryan, I did say thank you to the Holy Water. But, so that's it. But joining us live here now, the guy, he's been tweeting all this shit all day. He's been very busy. We appreciate him taking the time to come on with us, is Jim Beringer. Sorry if I mispronounced that, but Jim, how are you, man?
Hey,
Appreciate
what's going on, guys? Thanks for having me on. Always a pleasure to be here. Always joining shows and stuff. Yeah, busy day for Florida Panthers. Let's just say I think we all can agree that when the next year's GM of the Year award comes out, Bill Zito's name's going to be on it, and maybe with the Stanley Cup again.
Oh, well, do you know
Well,
what this news
wait,
means?
real quick. If it means winning a Stanley Cup or getting the trophy, I think I'd rather take the Stanley Cup.
No, I think so too. I think everybody would agree that take the Stanley Cup and over the GM of the Year award. But impressive work by Bill Zito getting everybody signed and sealed and delivered like he said he was going to after they won the Stanley Cup for the second straight year. Yeah.
Well, you know what all this news means is that Jim Nill is going to win his fourth straight Jim Gregory award. So congratulations to Jim Nill. All that BS by some Canadian media giving Bennett the Conn Smythe and all this. To go into Toronto, right? But there was a chance that we were thinking only 1 out of 3 would stay, and we thought when Bennett happened, Jim, that Marchand and especially Ekblad were not going to come back. And then you take a look at it, it's like this to me signals okay. These are obviously long-term deals. They're going to age, and however they age, but the next 2, 3, 4 years, and in particular next year, it's clear that they're maximizing this window they have.
No, 100%. Yeah, no, they're definitely maximizing this window, and they know that they're going to get more salary cap space in 2027. Don't forget that. So all of this is going to even be beneficial. I can't wait to see what the contracts actually are. Considering we saw the Bennett contract the last couple of years is buyout proof and you can trade it if you need to. Not to say that they're going to, but I'm interested to see what the Marchand deal looks like, considering it'd be 42 in the last year of his contract. I'm wondering the no trade clauses and everything like that, especially with the way everything's structured. But again, the cap's going up. So the AAV is not going to be a matter of an issue for this team, especially for Bill Zito. And maybe he has to make another move here or there. Somebody's going to have to move out because the cap space and everything. But again, this is great work, and you gotta tip your cap to what he's done. You really do.
And I think the other part that actually makes this work is Sergei Bobrovsky is now after all these years, the highs and lows of that contract. He's coming up on the final year of his deal. He's eligible for an extension in just 7 hours. I'm sure there's been talk about what the plan is there, but $10 million is coming off the books next year. And I think Bob's got some hockey left in him longer than just a year or two. I think he can go maybe 3, 4, stretching it a bit. But you have, I think, a guy like Sergei Bobrovsky, $10 million. He's going to come in at a lower cap hit. I think that's also offsets this money here.
No, absolutely it will. I mean, again, depends. He can sign his extension July 1st, as you said, Nick. And here's the thing, like, how far do they go? Do they just go to 2030 with Bobrovsky? Like, that seems to be the window where everything starts to change for the Panthers. If you look at their contracts, don't forget Tarasov's there as well. They just traded for him. Could that be the sequel to Bobrovsky? You know, that's a Bill Zito guy from his days in Columbus. So again, they still have to sign him, extend him, you know, all that. You got to sign up your backup goalie. You have a couple other pieces you have to make work. But again, not only are you going to have potentially $10 million coming off the books and maybe a lower AAV for Bob, which probably be like 7, 8 million, maybe. Could be less if he keeps buying in.
Yeah. And
could be less than that.
And he's even said he's liked the way Paul Maurice has handled his situation off the ice, like his ability to do what he needs to do to get ready to prepare for games. I think that's a big advantage to us getting him to re-sign with us. So, you know, we'll see what happens, right?
No, exactly. Like, if you look at it, right, you say, okay, if he takes 6, 7 million, that helps. Not to mention the cap will be what? 130, 135
in the span of about 5, 6 years.
I think also
probably be about 130.
Yeah.
I think
so
also
you're getting more money with the young guys that are coming up, and the contracts that everybody's are looking at and like saying, oh, Wolf, how many years, the AAV, all that stuff. Yeah, it's all well and good, but it's like, the cap's going up. So the aging of these contracts aren't going to be as bad if we were under a stagnant cap. If there was a stagnant cap and it was only going up a little bit, you're not keeping all 3 guys. You can't do it. It would be impossible. But the fact of the matter is that Ekblad at the beginning of the year, from talking to some people when I was down there during the Stanley Cup final, didn't come out and say he wanted to take less, but he wanted to be a Florida Panther. The loyalty by Ekblad really got this deal done.
Jim, appreciate it. Jim from Full Press Hockey, our host, our main guy, Kirby, has just arrived back from Medicine Hat.
Anything happening today?
A lot of things, a couple things. We have 100 people in here. Kirby, appreciate you joining us now.
You guys go ahead.
A lot of stuff happening. One of the other things, Jim, I wanted to bring up, this almost certainly means the end of Evan Rodriguez's tenure and even potentially a Jesper Boqvist there in Florida. I would assume, obviously, you take a look. They recouped a second-round pick for Justin Sordiff when they moved him to Washington. You'd have to think not just a cap dump, but you could recoup some picks here for like Evan Rodriguez, Jesper Boqvist, in hopes of a, I know this is looking ahead, trade deadline move. I'm not that you need to hold a fill, but I didn't think there was a hold a fill with Marchand. And then you take a look at it, it's like Rodriguez for draft picks, Sordiff for draft picks. You still have that first round pick due to the conditional 28 selection of Seth Jones could become a 27 depending on if you trade one or the other.
Yeah, no, don't forget. Yeah, Rodriguez is definitely. I think that's everybody's circling Rodriguez and his money, and it'll be unfortunate because he's a team guy and everybody loves him and everybody plays for that room. But again, I think everybody in Florida understands your lifespan on the team, similar to what we see in Vegas with Kelly McCrimmon and Bill Foley, how they operate their ship there, and Florida's going to be the same way. Now, caveat, before Rodriguez gets traded, I will throw this out, and I've said this before. Again, it all depends because he's going to want to play in the Olympics. When does Matthew Tkachuk have off-season surgery? That could buy you a window to start the season using his space to keep a guy or two, and then make the trade. It all depends on when he has the surgery. If he has it, again, he hasn't really said it. He's going to do it yet. He was hesitant about it. He didn't really commit to it. But it all depends on when he has it. Does he start the season on LTIR? You'll have a little bit of a window there before you got to make a move. Again, you can operate $10 million over the cap in the summer. So the Panthers, right now, they really don't have to worry about making that trade yet. But I would expect they do something because they'll have to know one way or another what Tkachuk is doing.
And I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this. Evan Klosky, he works it's Tampa Bay sports director at Eklosky WTSP says this very interesting. The Panthers did what the Lightning weren't able to do due to the flat cap. Having said that, some of the guys took absurd discounts to stay with Florida, in particular, mainly Aaron Ekblad. It helps, but it goes well beyond no state income tax. I was kind of wondering your thoughts on, this is like what Tampa was kind of destined for, and that COVID thing and the COVID halt on the cap really kind of screwed them over, and we're able to take advantage of it because our window happens to line up at a more opportune time for this.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, look, I think that I said it before, like the stagnant cap really hurt Tampa because they wanted to keep everybody and they couldn't. They lost Yanni Gourde, Barclay Goodrow. They lost all their key players, Blake Coleman, during their runs to 3 finals, and they won 2 of them. But the big thing for me is even you go to one of the Panthers rivals now, Maple Leafs, like when all those guys signed their contracts, no one predicted that COVID was going to happen. So that hurt them. Everything lining up perfectly for the Florida Panthers. Again, it's a win for Bill Zito to get these guys to accept the deals that they're getting. It's a win because they've won the Stanley Cup twice now, but now you're building a dynasty, something you haven't seen since the early 80s, the 80s of the Islanders and the Oilers. Of those times, you're finally going to see something like that. If they can win 3 straight, and then it's special because they're keeping their team together, something you thought would never be possible in a salary cap era.
Yeah. And a lot of people have compared this Florida Panthers version to those New York Islanders of the 80s. I didn't grow up then, guys. I was only born in that era, but that's the closest era that people can kind of compare the Panthers to here, those Islanders of the 80s, just how they're built and everything, Jim.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, look, they're a very, very physical team. I've seen them in person so many times now. I mean, they are like those Islanders teams of the early 80s. I will say the same thing. I only have seen the highlights on tape because I caught the tail end of it when I came into this world. So I only caught the tail end of those Islanders teams. And to be honest, like they've been really good. So Panthers play with an edge. Their forecheck is unbelievable. I say this to people that I've talked to. They remind me of New Jersey when they were winning Stanley Cups, but Paul Maurice has taken that system and taken it to another level because now the offense is shining with the Florida Panthers, not just defensively, but offensively as well. And that's, to me, that was the difference in the series against the Edmonton Oilers, the power play, the offense, how they could strike. So just a great job by the entire organization. And I got to shout out a guy, the owner as well, who's a West Point alum, Vinny Viola. Again, great run organizations to buy in by the team up and down the roster through the entire organization. This is how winning is done in the National Hockey League, and that's why you're seeing success in Florida.
And Nick, just before you jump back in, those New Jersey Devils teams, we were talking off air the other day, they did that with a lot of collective coaches.
A lot of different changes.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, like Pat Burns, we're never going to know how long he could have been with New Jersey because he had his cancer diagnosis, which is unfortunate. And we just won't know. Larry Robinson in and out, Jacques Lemaire was there for a time period, and Lou just pulled triggers on coaches left and right because he just didn't feel like they could win. And the biggest one is still Claude Julien. That to me is still the biggest head scratcher in the world. But I think like Paul Maurice, the buy-in, they've done it with him. Again, you have to credit Dale Talon before Bill Zito got here. You have to credit Joel Quenneville before he left because of everything that happened. They got the guys to start doing things the right way. But then again, Zito takes it to another level. You get swept by Tampa. He's like, nope, not good enough anymore. We got to change who we are. And this is the result.
No. And I want to actually ask you about shifting off the Panthers here for a sec. We were talking before you and Kirby came on about Vegas, obviously the acquisition of Mitch Marner. There's a report now that Alex Pietrangelo might miss the entire season. Aaron Ekblad coming off the market. Dante Fabro coming off the market. Henry Okiharu also off the market. Obviously, Vegas is reported as a front runner for Rasmus Andersson. What do you think Calgary's approach could be to what they're looking for now, because that's the one guy out there really. They're probably going to ask for a king's ransom for him.
They have to. I mean, the in-division price, right? It's the in-division trade price that you have to. If you're going to send Rasmus Andersson to a divisional rival, you have to get something back in return that helps you, right? And Andersson wants to go play with his buddy Noah Hannafin. That's fine. But where's the money for Andersson? Where's the money for Jack Eichel? Marner got the Rantanen deal. Okay, that's great. Nick Waugh goes the other way. Yep. Pietrangelo is probably not playing this season. He may not play ever again, which is unfortunate for Alex Pietrangelo. But again, before people say, here we go again with Vegas, Petro missed 4 nations because of these same injuries. So this goes back like 4 months now. And it's unfortunate for a defenseman who's been really good in the league. They have to look there. The right shot defense market is not there. You know, maybe they could swing a deal with Buffalo and get Bowen Byram to play the right side in that system. That's a guy who's very versatile. But Gavrikov is going to ask for a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Maybe you try to, see who right shot defensemen are out there that you believe are going to fit. But Anderson's the guy right now. Miller, Condre Miller is out there too. But again, I don't know if he's a Vegas guy. It's going to take a lot for Calgary to move Rasmus Andersson. I can tell you that.
You'd have to think,
and they're asking a lot from ransom.
Yeah,
you'd have to think Danny Briere. This is where you cash in on Rasmus Ristolainen. I know.
Yes, you have to.
I mean, there's been a lot of talk of they wanted to trade him. I would say this had a rough go of it in Buffalo. A highly talented guy, actually played pretty well considering the circumstances in Philadelphia. Yeah. $5.5 million cap, had only 2 years left, I believe. Manageable in now today's cap era, which is different than it was a week or two ago. But I'd imagine that Danny Briere would have to shop for Rasmus Ristolainen, especially given his performance in Philadelphia. I thought was been pretty impressive.
Yeah, he's been on the market for a while.
Yeah.
Going back to the trade deadline and even further than that, the Flyers are trying to get a good price for him.
Yeah.
So I would not be shocked if Vegas tries to make a run at him as well tomorrow. I mean, it doesn't feel like free agency is going to be free agency tomorrow. Provoral's signing, like everybody's signing today. So tomorrow maybe we can have some trades.
It looks like Busy Boy isn't doing too well right now, is he, guys?
That's your boy, Big C's. That's your boy.
I effing love it. I love it.
I thought he has all the sources, C's. I thought when he says stuff, versus what the Cats and Rats say, I thought that stuff comes.
Hey, we reported it earlier in the week. The Marchand and Bennett deals were all but done. But yeah, Jim. Is there anything else Kirby wanted to talk to Jim about?
No, guys, you guys go ahead. I just got it first.
We really appreciate you coming on, Jim.
Hey, no problem, guys. Hey, I will say one thing. I'm gonna put an end to this no state tax business.
Please do.
I'm tired of talking about it.
Okay,
everybody wants to talk about no state tax and all this stuff. I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of hearing about it. Let's credit Bill Zito for the job he's done to get the guys to buy in to what Florida is building. Winning matters. Building a successful organization matters, and putting a winning franchise on the ice matters, and the facilities and everything that is there. It's not that big of an advantage, despite what Busy Boy wants to say. That's your guy. But I will say this. They still pay taxes in the other states that they play in. Yes.
Thank you, Jim.
When
they go play a team that has state income tax, they have to pay taxes on there. So
yes.
People don't realize how it works.
I saw a clip today. Dale Town said that didn't help us out when I was trying to recruit. I said the 10-12%, and players didn't really care.
Because they weren't winning.
Exactly.
That's why.
Exactly.
And look, wait a minute. I have 2 more points on this. Tell me when Dallas was the last. When was the last time Dallas won a Stanley Cup?
Before I was born.
1999.
99.
Right,
yeah.
99.
Nashville was 30 out of 32 last year. Seattle didn't make the playoffs.
Seattle, another one. Yep.
Tell me again where the advantage is.
And
if Gavrikov goes signs in New York, that's 7 times 8. Yeah, I
guess New York still gets players.
Yeah, I guess New York still gets players, right?
It's just one of the world's biggest cities.
Again, ask your GM why he's not as aggressive as Bill Zito and Kelly McCrimmon. That's all I'm going to say.
Ask Brian McCabe, says you got to have balls.
Right. And by the way, if you think it's still an issue, just go ask Ron Hainsey and Marty Walsh and go listen to them from Friday. They had pretty good answers.
There we go. I love it.
Awesome, Jim. Awesome, Jim. Anything else before we let you go, man?
That's all I got to say. That was my closing argument and my closing shot here on Cats and Rats. And just glad to come on. Big C's, great meeting you down at the final. It was awesome time. I can't wait to be back in Florida. I love it down there. I'm so glad that hockey is growing in Florida and the Panthers have a winning team because it's good for the National Hockey League.
And Jim, where can everybody find you on Twitter? I know you guys you put up Full Press Hockey.
Yeah, so at Full Press NHL, but my personal Twitter account is at Jim Berenger. So I tweet out a lot of stuff. I'll probably put it after I'm done here. I'll probably be outside doing some nightcap recaps on the Florida Panthers and other things that are happening around the National Hockey League. But I was glad to make time for you guys. Jump on and talk some Florida Panthers hockey.
Appreciate it, Jim.
Thank you, bro.
Hey, welcome, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Later.
Appreciate it, Jim. Kirby, welcome back. How was the drive from Medicine Hat?
What's going on here? Whole professional operation here, boys. Love it.
Yes.
You can
Let's get
always count on us. You can always count on us.
There you go.
You're damn right.
There you
Appreciate
go.
Vince. I just called Vince 5 minutes after it happened. It's like, can you come on? He's like, I'll be ready. Send
I got
me the link.
I got a text
We had
from
Matthew on a little bit ago.
I was going to jump in. Jim, I just jumped in halfway through, so I didn't want to interrupt you guys. You guys were on a smooth operation. But when he said Neil Talon, I wanted to throw to Vince.
So Kirby, we've given all our thoughts here. Cody's going to be joining us shortly. But
No, I'm going to give my thoughts later tonight on Spaces X. I got to get my mind around all of this. The Mitch Marner news I just saw. Wasn't Gavrikov just signed? Which defenseman just signed?
No,
Provorov. You're wrong,
Provorov.
Russian. Provorov.
Thank you.
Gavrikov leaving LA. We know
I
that.
think he brings up a good point, but Kirby, before you came in, I had heard that Evan Rodriguez and Jesper Boqvist were being shopped. I said that before the Marchand news came in.
Because Nosek is now signed, or he has been signed?
There's nothing more on that. I'm assuming that'll be a Tim Reynolds, Jameson Olive, or like the Panthers.
Tim Reynolds coming out with all of these breaking news tweets here this
Real
week.
quick, I know Vince was asking about Mike Grinnell and where he would like to see Marchand go. I hope this answers your question.
That does answer my question. I kind of wanted a live video of him screaming into the abyss again and then dumping his own bottle of water on his head, but that'll work too.
I'm not a big fan of theatrics, but that was pretty good from Mike Grinnell.
I mean, it is chiclets. You have to accept that theatrics are just kind of part of the show. Once you kind of do that, it's like, okay, this is great. This is quality entertainment.
I just sat here frozen because I thought he was going to Vegas. Like everyone gets Vegas, right? Goes to Vegas.
That was the best part of the trade for me, that we stole him from Vegas.
Yes, that was, and now that Marner is there,
They got rid of Marner to bring in Marchand, and look what happened.
Guys, are they more likable now in Vegas, or even more hateable? You guys answer that. You know my answer.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
Kirby, I gave my thoughts on, do I think Marner will fit with Bruce Cassidy? I don't know. I think it's a weird fit. But Eichel was kind of seen as a prima donna kind of player in Buffalo. Granted, part of that was because it was Buffalo.
Yes. I don't question Eichel's buy-in. Yeah, I don't question Eichel's buy-in like I would with Marner.
Yeah, I get that.
No. But yeah, he could be a regular season warrior for them. But again, when the playoffs hit, you got to play different hockey out there in the Western Conference. That is not going to be easy, smooth sailing for Mitch Marner with those teams out in the Central Division and then the Edmonton Oilers as well.
Yeah. And again, Bruce Cassidy's not going to let you take it easy. He's not that kind of coach.
No, and the guys in the room too. You wonder if there'd be a little culture difference there, because Vegas, like, hey, we've won here, and your voice isn't going to be as loud in this room like it was in the Toronto room. And he's going to be more on an island in Vegas. Those core four, I told you guys this. They kind of hid behind each other. One guy would come out and speak media. The other guys would go off to the background. It's going to be different with Mitch Marner. He doesn't have that protection anymore in the room. So it's going to be very interesting in Vegas.
And it's going to be, and I like this. How does the Marchand signing impact Jim Neal's legacy? I mean, they still have to move some cap room they have to do some moves to move some cap space, because they're in a little bit of a pickle there, right?
They are in a bit of a pickle cap-wise. I mean, they already moved out Mason Marchment to extend Mikael Granlund, but serious answer to the how does Marchand signing affect Jim Nill's legacy? It actually doesn't that much, but I think the Ekblad signing does really impact Dallas's plans because I said it, if they could have dumped Dumba and Labushkin, I think those are the two right side defensemen they have on ridiculous contracts. I would have said they would have been all over Ekblad when he hit the market. That's not an option for them anymore. So it's like, well, if we dump those guys, who can you go and get? Like, I get it. Those guys aren't good. But is replacing them with a Nate Schmidt who mostly played on the third pair and Nick Perbix or 40-year-old Brent Burns or, well, they can't do David Savard because he's retiring. Is that really appealing? Is that an upgrade?
And Ekblad would have to do more in Dallas, Vince, on top of that.
You're probably right, yeah.
Puckpedia has Kachuk and LTIR because they think
it's just the way the site is. The way the rules are, you can't have a guy on LTIR in the off season. Puckpedia is doing that just because I think they're assuming that he will be on LTIR. Puckpedia is not run by the league.
Vince?
Sorry, Kirby?
Have they done that with other guys in the past?
They have done that with other guys Wait, we've done what with other guys in the past?
On LTIR position with other guys in the last summer, the summer prior, whenever they started up, would have been last summer.
Well, the site can kind of figure out, because again, it's people like us that run, not us, but like you and the listeners that run the site. It's people who like hockey and follow the game. It's not the league that runs the site. So they can kind of say, okay, well, we know Kachuk's getting surgery. He's probably going to be on LTIR. So they just throw him on LTIR now on the site just because it's easier. So, because again, these are sites that are run by like a group of 5 to 10 people. So it's not like they can, spend every minute going up to the second live updates. So sometimes if it's, well, we know they're going to put him on LTIR at some point, let's just do it now. On the site, just so that way he's there. Because league rule-wise, LTIR isn't a thing in the offseason.
And the cap friendly, those guys were bought out from the Washington Capitals management, right?
Give me a minute, gentlemen. But I'm going to step away for a sec. But Vince, you probably know this better than I would. Can you explain to Anthony what the NHL, this question I have up on the screen here?
What exactly can the NHL investigate Florida after they did this? Because there's other teams' channels saying the NHL should investigate Florida for violating the CBA. My challenge would be point to the rule that they violated.
Yeah, what rule?
Point to the rule. Nothing they have done has been illegal. They're not tampering with anybody. They're not colluding with anybody. They're signing the guys that they have exclusive negotiating rights
and that's what happens when you keep guys and when you trade for players that are expiring contracts. You have the ability to retain those players.
Yeah.
So there's
we had exclusive rights to talk to Bennett, to talk to Ekblad, to talk to Marchand. Legally speaking, no other team could talk to them until tomorrow. Obviously, that doesn't happen. Like, everyone tampers with everyone. It's kind of a mutually assured destruction thing with tampering. Everyone does it, therefore no one reports anyone.
It's kind of like in college with the AAU, shoe deals and all that other stuff, right?
Kirby just hit the nail on the head there. It's, what are you going to do? Because you're doing it too. But we haven't broken any rules. And if it's, oh, well, they're over the cap. You can go over the cap by 10% in the offseason, and we'd be over the cap by like $500,000 with the Marchand deal, which I don't pretend to be a math expert, but I'm pretty decent with math. $500,000 is not 10% of $95 million. So we haven't broken any rules. So it's, investigate Florida. For what? And it's not like you can say they circumvented the cap with the Kachuk thing. The guy tore his adductor muscle off the bone. That's a legitimate injury. Even like you can't investigate that because that's a real injury. You know how difficult it is to even walk if your adductor's not in good shape.
Hey,
You think it's like, oh,
I
they're
have
cheating?
I have an extra wheelchair, so if he needs to use it this offseason, he can go ahead and do so.
Loan policy from Caesar.
All right.
Like we all
Okay.
get this with the Vegas thing with
Look,
Mark
Cody.
Stone. I get
Cody.
it, but there was one injury where he actually lacerated a kidney and was, forgive me for being graphic, where he was peeing blood. That's a legitimate injury. You can't expect a guy to play if that's what he's doing.
All right. What are we talking about?
There was a question
Welcome.
on
Welcome.
other teams saying that that Florida should get investigated for violating the CBA, and well,
What's CBA? The new
law
one ain't in
student in
effect yet.
training here with my LSAT prep book for dummies. I said, show me the part in the CBA they broke.
No,
Show
they-
me the rule they broke, because you won't find it. You
Uh,
won't find it.
So Cody, welcome.
Love your shirt, by the way.
I hope
Get it.
the movie was good.
Yeah, I watched F1 the movie. It was fire.
Oh, was it good?
It was really good.
Were you able to like pay attention with all the chaos that was happening?
Yeah, kind of. I was like, okay. I saw the thing. I go, okay, and I just kept watching, but because it just kept getting to the good parts of the movie. But yeah, I mean, Bill Zito's a madman. There's no other way to put it.
Cody, I just got in here myself trying to wrap my
There-
What
mind.
movie did you see?
F1.
Oh, okay.
So,
Caesar, is that good enough to miss this?
Sure, yeah.
We're gonna have to go see it to make sure.
look. I walked into the movie and I said to myself, like, watch him re-sign him right now. And I walked.
Why
in.
would you go to a
But your
movie
plan was
today?
Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and say this. This is because, Cody, when you, Nick, and I went to Flanagan's, nothing happened. This was payback for that.
No, something did happen. It just wasn't the Panthers. What the hell
Cody,
happened?
you
again?
thought tonight-
Okay, that technicality then. Technicality, something did happen.
What did happen? I forgot.
You thought this was going to happen tonight, though, Cody?
Yes, I was thinking closer to midnight.
Me too.
That's what I was feeling. My initials reaction right now is Carly just hopped in the chat, and you and Caesar are not going to be happy, but I think Evan Rodriguez needs
We
to
talked
call
about that.
Jeremy Beckham.
Yeah.
And because the $3 million, like even Boquist could be gone, but some way, somehow, I don't want to hear a word about Ekblad being high maintenance again. He's the only one that took that. He's the only one that took a discount. The only one. Don't want to hear it.
No, he left money on the table. He left money.
He left a lot.
Oh, come you got what 8 by 6.1, so that's
He isn't even getting $50 million total.
Oh my goodness, he could have.
Half on the open market is the number I would.
He
say.
left about $10 to $13 million on the
Speaking of
table.
moving, in the craziness of it all, you mentioned Jeremy Beckham, Cody. You mentioned Canes. We forgot to mention Jeremy Beckham. If you don't mind, I just read this real quick.
How do you forget?
Hey, Panther fans in South Florida and need real estate help? Check out Jeremy Beckham with Next Home Treasure Coast. It's a boutique service with a personal touch. Jeremy and his team put humans over houses, working hard for you whether you're buying or selling. Ready to move? Hit up BeckSellsFLA.com or call 772-475-5371 now. You'll be glad you did. Evan Rodriguez, might need to call. We did say before the Marchand thing did break, I was told Boquist and Erod are being shopped.
I mean, I don't think it's going to be hard to move either of them.
Especially Evan Rodriguez. I think an interesting strategy here is, okay, you're going to accrue cap space throughout the year. We know this. If you move Evan Rodriguez, clear the cap, you could recoup some draft picks there to facilitate something at the deadline just in case. We know that 27 first-round pick is an option there because of the conditional nature of the pick that was traded for Seth Jones. And Brad Marchand, that is now a 2028 first-round pick. So 2027 is an option, but it could become a 26 or something.
But what?
Here's they're picking Nosek over Jesper Boquist. It's looking like.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I think it's a cheap option. I think he's a good player. It worked, and you need a cheap veteran fourth-line center. It worked last year. Might as well, right?
I got both my teams making shocking trades today.
It's crazy.
Woke up to the football one. I love that trade. I loved it.
Yeah, congratulations. You get Micah Fitzpatrick.
Minka, he's back home where he started. Fuck Brian Flores. So, and now
Let's talk about a team that's won
I
playoff
knew it.
games,
I
please,
absolutely
Cody.
knew it going into that movie, and I'm like, and here's the thing: I didn't know about the Marchand thing until like the end of the movie because it was like the Ekblad stuff happened like kind of in the middle of it, and I missed Nick's call, and I just look and I just see, oh,
Yeah, it got all muddy.
Anytime
muddy
Cody calls me randomly, the first thing that pops into my mind is we just made a trade, didn't we? We did something. Called me last night to bitch about the Nick Hague deal.
Oh, I think that is
Well,
so
Nick,
bad.
anytime I call you, you don't pick up. So
That is so bad. So bad. Nico Mikkel is licking his freaking chops right now.
But Cody, in all seriousness, you should have heard Caesar when he saw the Marchand news.
Oh,
Because the way he just started yelling into his microphone, I actually thought I was going to have a heart attack.
I'm sorry, guys. I was so excited.
It's okay.
Two times we broke the heat.
We bring passion and energy on this show. We're entertaining people. Dang
and
it.
we appreciate everybody. We came on here at
110 people is crazy.
We came on here at 3:30.
Yep.
Aaron Ekblad's money was not out yet. The AV was not released yet. Mitch Marner was still a Toronto Maple Leaf, and Brad Marchand had not been re-signed.
Tomorrow's going to be a lot more boring than what we thought, but
this is the fun one right here.
This is fun.
To be fair, when Nick called me, I'm like, and said, "Oh, were you ready to go live?" I'm like, "What on earth are you talking about? Like, you normally don't have me on just for news breaks."
Right now, well, the one thing I'm curious about right now is what are the trade protections? That is my concern, and that is because here's the thing: the trade protections tell me everything Zito's thinking here. Because Zito signed these deals, and Ekblad 8x6.1. I mean, masterclass. I mean,
masterclass. That for both sides.
And
I mean,
with Ekblad taking that much of a pay cut, you'd have to think that Craig Oster, who's his agent, who certainly not an idiot, he's made over $1 billion for his clients on their contracts this year alone, would have to say, okay, we'll give you the pay cut, but if you want to trade him, we decide where he goes.
And Ekblad no longer the highest paid defenseman or right-handed defenseman on the roster. Very interesting.
You know, I'm going to be honest. You can make an argument for at least the next 2 to 4 seasons if he's able to especially stay healthy. This is the best contract, not just on the team, but one of the best contracts in the league. I mean,
if you account playoffs and everything,
the one thing I give Aaron Ekblad credit for, Kirby, I know it's been there's been a lot of talk about him over the last 2-3 years with his injuries and everything, suspensions. He said he wanted to stay here. A lot of guys say they'll take a pay cut. They'll take a pay cut, and they don't.
They don't.
And they don't. Aaron Ekblad did, and he took a massive one, a significant one, and he deserves a lot of credit here because he's like, I want to be here, and not only does this help us because you get a pretty good player at the cheap price, it opens other room outside of this. So now you have a luxury contract in Bennett. The one thing, Cody, I agree with the no move clause is it depends on, number one, how they age, which I don't anticipate these deals are going to be great in the future.
They're not going to be great in like 4 years, 5 years.
3-4 years,
But
something
that's why I think Ekblad has a different role, Nick, with this team staying here than he would going somewhere else.
Yeah.
Going somewhere else, he's like the man.
Well, here's the thing.
All the minutes, all the power play time. And here, it's not going to be like that. So
because Jones is power play 1 quarterback going forward, I think. Ekblad's spot on power play 2 is just safe now because you're going to put him out there for a power play at least because, you know, Ekblad's changed his game over the years. He still has the offensive instincts. He was, at points, that power play 1 really started clicking in the back half of the Stanley Cup final there.
But Cody, something I talked about, he might have to jump to a number 3 defense role now with this new contract, and he signed on for that.
We'll see. Hey, he's
but Kirby, I don't think at least for the short term, I don't think Maurice is going to mess with a good thing and break up the Ekblad Forsling pair. I think they're still going to be the top pair 5-on-5, and I expect Seth Jones to be with Nico Mikkola. What I think the strategy is kind of the same strategy with the past few years of, okay, we don't really have a number 1. So let's just get, instead of 1 95, 96 kind of defenseman and then just build around him, let's get several 89, 90, 91 rated and kind of sort of split it three ways.
That's what Vegas is doing. You see what Vegas
It's what
is
Vegas
doing.
is doing. It's like you can really only do the let's have the 195, 96 guy if you're like Colorado with Cale Makar or like Tampa with Victor Hedman, where it's
And I'm
like
not saying we
you have guys who are
we don't have
fighting
that.
for Norris trophies. I'm talking like really fighting for Norris trophies.
And now you take a look
every
at
year.
it. I've always talked
I'm
about.
talking about more. Sorry, just to jump in quickly. I'm talking more about him jumping down to a middle pairing. But I agree with you on that. We don't have.
I think he might eventually, but I think at least for now, and
Yes.
Maurice obviously is not an idiot. Why mess with a good thing? We know Ekblad and Forsling work well together. We know Jones and Mikkola work well together. Why change what?
Here's the other part too. Here's the other part too. Ready? Aaron Ekblad, $6.1 million. We all talk about the cap going up. That's going to be an easy deal to move in whenever it ages bad. Or if he's a good player, but not the $6 million, you could put him on a bottom pair role and have him just play whatever. Like there is a path. Like this is no matter how he ages, it's either movable or it's a different role at a little bit of an elevated price.
Yeah. And of course, again, the cap will be at $130 million in 5 to 6 years, barring another pandemic that causes a flat cap, because revenue is just going to keep going up and up. The Canadian TV deal, when that gets renegotiated in a few years, is going to get the league even more money. ESPN and TNT, that deal was what, 7 years, 8 years?
Yeah, it's ending in a couple of years soon.
It'll end in a couple of years. That's going to be even more money. And I assume there'll also be an extra streaming component that should potentially net more money. The revenues are only going to go up and up from here, guys.
But the one thing I'm seeing right now concerning Matthew Tkachuk and LTIR, I don't see it. And here's why.
I don't think the Olympics.
This is the Olympics thing.
Yeah, he's not going to be on there the full season because he wants to play in the Olympics.
Yeah.
He might have to start the year there, and then you have to make these kinds of decisions in like the first week, second week of November instead of now.
Yeah.
So that would be it.
I don't see
it wouldn't be like, okay, he's on LTIR and we're not seeing him again until the playoffs start. That's not happening.
I don't see him moving LTIR just because of the – if it was a non-Olympic year, then I think it's a feasible look. But with the Olympics and all of that, and NHL players not being in the Olympics for the last 10 years now, about to be 12.
12 years.
So yeah, no, I don't see it. Especially when Tkachuk got that taste at Four Nations, he loved it there, and the Olympics are a much higher stake, much higher intensity because
can't fight as much though.
Yeah. You can't fight, but still
can't fight at all. Actually, I should rephrase that.
You want to be there. So, but I'm not feeling the whole Tkachuk LTIR thing just because for that reason, because he can't be on LTIR the whole year and then go play the Olympics and come back.
Yeah, that's surefire way to get investigated by the league.
And it's like here's the thing: I think he's missing the first half of the year, and let him miss the first half of the year. When Marchand signed, do we really need him currently? I don't think so.
Well, wouldn't that mean, and again, just spitballing here, you could keep Evan Rodriguez for a bit?
Yeah, that's what Jim said, right?
That's
what Jim
I
said.
I wouldn't do it because here's the thing. I wouldn't do it because if you're shopping him now, you can get good value for him now.
Yeah,
in the future, you're kind of just like, oh, okay, where can he go? Where can he go? You're kind of panicking a bit. Now
yeah, but then you could also maybe move him at the trade deadline where their teams are desperate for a forward. His value might go up then too.
Yeah, but we're going to be desperate to move him. That's
so
also
Cody.
The thing.
Do you sign someone like? I don't know. I'll just throw this name out there. Do you sign someone like a Justin Brazeau or a Robbie Fabry to throw in a lineup until Tkachuk comes back, and then okay, we know this guy's we're losing him on waivers anyway, but who cares?
Yeah, kind of. But then again, if we do lose those guys, if we do sign those guys, then they're under $1 million, and we do trade Erod now, and probably maybe a Boquist or something like that.
They probably trade Boquist.
Yeah,
they're not going to trade Mackey. I don't think so.
No, not Mackey.
They wouldn't. They shouldn't.
Though, if you do, you're going to get a lot of value for him because guess what? You just got a second and a sixth for Justin Sorda. What the hell can Mackey get? And
probably another first.
So if I'm okay to move him if that's the case, and we load up on a first-round pick somewhere.
Again, picks back.
Yeah. But I think Mackey showed a lot of talent last year. Maurice took a shine to him. He moved him up the lineup as the season went on. He got 15 goals. That's not nothing for a rookie at 31 points. He was, in terms of goals, he was up there with the rookies. He wasn't the leader, but he was up there.
Power play.
And they put him first unit on the power play. Clearly, Maurice does see something with Mackey that makes him think he can be useful. To me, I would see that and say, there's no reason to trade this guy because it's not like the coach doesn't like him. Coach put him on the first power play unit.
But that's rich coming from the prospect guy. It's
just, why would I trade Mackey? Why would I trade Mackey? Why?
Well, you would trade everyone but Mackey.
No.
But
you think I'd trade Sam Reinhart? Come on. Cody's out here doing a little trolling.
But
in all seriousness, I think Mackey's actually a real piece for the future. I think they'd be smart to give him a nice bridge deal. I think he's earned that. Maurice clearly likes him. So,
but we haven't found the official number for Marchand yet, but it is rumored to be just below $32 million.
Yeah, I did the math. You kind of got to see me do the math.
5.2, 5.3.
Yeah, under 5.5.
So 5.
Like
let's say it's
5.3.
Let's say
like
it's 5.3.
About what Hornquist cap hit was.
Okay, so 5.3. That means we are about 400,000 over the cap.
Yeah,
but you could still go and sign guys because you could be, I think, about 9 million over the cap.
10% over. You can be 9.55 million over.
Yeah, so
in the offseason. You just have to make sure you're under when the season starts.
I mean, but wow.
Which I don't think we're going to be spending $9.5 million in the offseason. That is not what that means.
And David T right here with another contract that was signed today. Evan Bouchard back to Edmonton for 4 by 10.5, which I don't think is that great.
Cody, it's not a great deal.
We've covered all this. We said that.
No, it's not the 10 plus. It's the 4 years that isn't good.
It's not good for Edmonton, but he turns 30 then, and he's going to get paid again.
And just a reminder for everybody, I don't mean to
that old, right?
I don't mean to take it off topic.
No, he's
26.
Oh, he's like 25, 26, yeah. Which, little fun fact, his draft class in 2018, no one from that class has won a Stanley Cup yet.
Kirby, this puck becomes a heck of a lot more valuable when we give it away tomorrow, doesn't it?
It's not a past collector's item. Did you give everyone the rules on that?
I did at the beginning. Make sure I'll repeat it at the end.
Do it again because we have a lot more listeners right now. So
all right, sounds good. So everybody, if you go to the comment section, Caesar, do you have the link that you shared already?
Yes. We can go to Nick on the solo shot there.
Okay, so we're going to be giving away in partnership with Caneswear this Aaron Ekblad signed puck. This is JSA certified and in partnership with Caneswear. Caesar's going to post a link to the video that you need to comment either your Instagram, your Twitter, so we're able to contact you, and you need to be subscribed to the channel to have a chance
to the live stream of the free agency with the Bill Zito on the front.
Yep.
I will definitely post a link to all platforms here on my YouTube channel and on my Facebook channel and on the Cats and Rats podcast. So the link will be on there here momentarily.
Yep, there you go.
I want to mention something briefly on the Bouchard deal that makes this even worse for Edmonton. When Bouchard is up again, they'll still have 1 year left of that Darnell Nurse disaster still on the books.
Guys, I hate to say this, but I got to go in like 2 minutes.
Yep.
But you guys you'll hold the fort, right?
Yeah,
yes.
It'll still be live on my channel, so you guys can still be on there. I just got another podcast I got to jump to, and then I got to go to work after.
So Ted,
it's crazy.
Ted, click that link right there. If you want to win this signed Aaron Ekblad puck, comment on the video on that link that is showing on the screen right there.
Yeah, it is.
Either your Instagram or Twitter, some way we can contact you if you're able to win. Like that video and make sure you subscribe to the channel.
It is the pre-free agency frenzy live stream. I think it's two live streams ago.
The Bill Zito thumbnail.
It has Bill Zito on the phone in the.
Why don't we share the screen for it so we could just give everybody a visual?
Gotcha.
What video we are referring to here.
If you missed any live tap stuff, make sure you're clicking on the live tab because the main page will show the podcast.
And again, thank you to everybody for joining us here. I mean, we've had, I think our highest was 130 people here today. So
it's crazy.
We appreciate it.
There for sharing it.
Yep, I'm gonna share the screen real quick, guys, before I go.
Oh my goodness, give me a sec.
And I'm going to have a little Spaces X postgame show out.
It's this one, guys. Florida Panthers, Cats and Rats live check-in free agent frenzy. It was streamed 3 days ago.
There's
Right
the one.
there.
In that comment section. So when you click on
And thank you to everybody who subscribed. We're at over 800 subscribers now. It is really appreciated. Again, we thank everybody for tuning in and subscribing.
Yep. Once again, we are live tomorrow at 11:30 Eastern time for.
It's gonna be crazy because I don't know what we'll have a lot to talk about. We'll
Well,
kind of
plenty.
go over everything. But it won't be like today. So
You know who's already the biggest loser of this offseason so far?
The Toronto Maple Leafs.
No, they got Nick Waugh for Marner.
I like what Toronto's done.
No, I know. I actually do like
And
When
they
you
have
get rid of Marner,
Is Cody going to take a pot shot at me personally here?
No,
hold on. When you get rid of Marner, that's addition by subtraction.
and
Well,
plus
Kirby,
they got.
Kirby, don't forget. I don't know why I'm gesturing with a hanger. Kirby, don't forget they got Matthias Maselli and they extended Steven Lorentz too. So
It's
Yeah.
not bad business for Busy Boys team today.
The
I'm not
biggest
trolling. I'm being serious.
No, like I feel like what Toronto's done. I'm a big Matthias Macelli fan. I had him in fantasy, but Utah never played him. So, the biggest loser to me right now is Carolina.
yeah, that's
mean,
what I was
They have
saying
all that
earlier.
money and no one to spend it on now except
they're-
maybe Nick Ehlers.
They're
You got Marner gone and Ekblad, who I think they were pursuing on the download too.
they were pursuing anyone and anything, Caesar.
Anyone
who's the biggest
notable
fish?
with a pulse, they were pursuing.
Who is
Yep.
the biggest guy on the market now? Ehlers?
Nikolai Ehlers, for
Ehlers,
sure.
Besser.
This one from
Ehlers.
Besser to Carolina. Watch for that.
Ehlers is going to Carolina. I'm almost sure of it.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, but
Mhm. He's an analytics darling. Eric Tulsky cut his teeth in the world of analytics.
true.
It fits.
That's true.
Carolina's an analytics.
All the
loving
analytics
team.
podcasts are going to have Carolina Hurricanes hour all during the season.
yeah, but here's the thing:
Over that.
you could be all analytics as much as you want. You got to have a hockey guy in there at some point and know about the damn game of hockey.
That's true. That's true.
And the fact that
Luckily for our beloved Florida Panthers, we have a guy who's both of those.
most definitely, and he's surrounded by both of those.
Yeah.
So it's because Tulsi, the Rantanen thing, you can't forget a guy and just be like, oh, all of a sudden, you can't make sure that he wants to be there.
Make sure he fits with how you
And
want to
secondly,
play.
can't fit how you want to play.
That's basic human communications, like 101.
That's pro scouting 101. Does this guy fit our system? Does he want to be here?
So
Anyways, gentlemen, I'll let you guys handle business.
Thank-
I'll be on with you guys tomorrow. Thanks again, everybody on my channel as well. I'll keep it on live with the boys so that way you guys can tune in. It's been real fun, and let's go Cats.
Yep. So, but with contract structure, I'm hoping both of these contracts are front loaded, like the Bennett one is.
I almost certainly think the Marchand on.
I think it most definitely
because
is.
there is no way he actually plays until 43. I'd have to think like the last 2-3 years. It's like, yeah, the cap hits like, the 5.3 number, and his actual salary is like $1 million. So that way, it's like, oh, if there's a cheap team that's trying to tank and wants to keep the accounting books thin but reach the cap floor, like Arizona in the years before the
owners pockets, they're just going to
have
money and all that.
We have potentially a new free agent tomorrow. I know Kirby's not a big fan of this guy, but this guy could be an asset to a team. Toronto did not issue a qualifying offer to Pontus Holmberg. So
He
really?
I wonder why.
Because here's the thing. I would have thought you could have at least put Pontus Holmberg on your third line, and I thought it would have worked for Toronto.
Vince, was that a Dubas guy?
He might have been. Let me check.
My guess.
of course it's
I think we're
your
gonna-
guess.
That's the thing. Remember, they were putting Holmberg and McMahon on the second line in the playoffs.
I thought you
Yeah,
were
like
going
Bruno
to say
didn't mind him there. But then he-
2018 draft, so I'm assuming
That
he's
is
Dubas guy.
Dubas. That's Dubas's first.
But he's
no, maybe not his
156.
first draft, but it was a draft he did.
But he's 156 overall pick.
Sixth round pick. 6 foot tall, 201. So it's not like he's marginally undersized or whatever. He's for a forward, 6 foot is average height.
But you think that had to play with Treliving bringing in Lawton, like even a little bit, 10-20%? That
Holmberg's a winger. Lawton's a center. Holmberg's a winger. So
But
I'm going to
there's
go with
still,
no.
but apparently
Like-
there's still potential that Holmberg does go back to Toronto. But as of right now, Holmberg is.
Did he have arbitration eligibility?
Yes,
Maybe
yes, he
that's
did.
what it is. They just didn't want to get into a protracted arbitration hearing.
one of
Yep,
those.
so, but
It's kind of why Tampa let Verhaeghe go that year. They did. They wanted to keep him, but
They thought it
cap
was
flat, and
they
they
thought-
didn't want to get into this protracted arbitration thing with him. So they cut their losses. And
but as of right now,
I think our listeners know the rest of that
but
story.
as of right now for free agency, what? So we need to address what 4C.
4C, if we don't keep
Well, Tomas
Noshek,
Noshek might be coming back. So
Yeah. Noshek might be coming back. So, but
I'm
as
not
of
holding
right
my
now,
breath on that one. We'll
Tim
see.
Reynolds posted it.
Tim Reynolds, Cody.
I'm not holding my breath. We'll see.
Okay.
So
And
if
then
Noshek doesn't come back, 4C,
and then
and
5 and
probably
then
a sixth
6D.
yeah.
I would
And then
like
we
an
just-
upgrade.
And then we just have to figure out how much are we paying Daniil Tarasov, which I've said
Brent Burns, please.
1.25 around that for Tarasov. That's what I expect it to be. His
It could be
qualifying offer
lower.
is 1.26. There's no way they don't qualify him because why would you trade for a guy if you're not going to qualify him? So I think they'll.
What was that, Nick? Just jump in.
I think you got to get a better guy at number 5. I think like Dmitry Kulikov, he's getting older. I think him at the 6th spot. I wouldn't mind a guy who can handle a little bit more minutes than like around what Kulikov can or around there. I think something similar to Schmidt or a little bit better to put at number 5. Because again, Kulikov, I don't want him jumping into the top 4. I'd like the other guy too. So that would be one of the things I'm looking at. Zach Jones did not get tendered a qualifying offer. Had a lot of people in New York really liked him, a lot of the fans, but never got that opportunity. So that could be an option. We talked about Brent Burns here. We'll see what happens. I wonder if Carolina circles back on him now that obviously with everything happening in free agency,
They got a lot of money.
pre-free agency, like
Yeah.
might as well.
I mentioned that earlier, Kirby. It's all these teams that have war chests like Anaheim and Carolina. Basically, now they don't have anybody to spend it on.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think you take a look at other options. John Klingberg, lost in this all. I didn't realize Henry Yokiharu signed with Boston until like 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, 3x3.
Yeah, Don
Just tell
Dania
me-
sent it to me. I'm like, whoa, I didn't see
Just to tell
that.
me with Vince there, how much picks and assets and capital do the Ducks have? Because you're gonna have to start going the trade route and just start mortgaging.
I
The
mean, in
Ducks?
terms of prospects, we know they have a lot. Now there are a couple of guys that Anaheim has that are not. They're not trading Seneca or McQueen, obviously.
Okay.
In terms of draft picks, see, does Buckpedia have that, or am I gonna have to?
Yeah,
I'm
they
gonna
have
to
the
say.
Ducks have all their first till 2027.
Yeah,
2
they
second
haven't
round
traded
picks.
any first. They should have a couple seconds.
Yeah, they have
lying
2
around.
second
Yeah,
round
they have
picks in
St. Louis and
2025.
Detroit's in 27. Then they have basically their entire slate of picks. And then they have Phillies and Edmonton's 4th in 26.
They got some stuff.
They don't have a lot of extra picks, but
Those seconds flat up.
they do have picks.
No.
Like they have their first to trade.
They
if
might not have wanted to go that route, Vince, but they might have.
I don't think Pat Verbeek that was the plan for him.
But he will.
I think they wanted to go in free agency and get like a Mitch Marner and have him kind of be like what Artemi Panarin was for the New York Rangers back in 2019.
Yep.
But obviously that's not happening now
Get guys
because rather than wearing that gaudy orange creamsicle jersey the Ducks have, Marner decided to have himself a golden moment and he's going to Vegas.
if you don't get guys in free agency, then you got to get it through trade and through draft.
Yeah.
That's where Anaheim now.
Yeah, and Anaheim is a team with a lot of money. And ownership came.
And last year, Vince.
They shouldn't spend it.
Yeah.
They have too
but
many guys
ownership-
coming up.
The Samuelis, the ownership over there came out publicly and essentially said, we are done with the rebuild. The rebuild needs to be over. We are done with the dwindling attendances.
Yes.
We're sick of spinning the tires and just betting on young guys coming up. And they essentially issued a public edict in an open letter. I think it was addressed to their fans, but it was an edict to Pat Verbeek as well. Spend money and get us to the playoffs again. And they greenlit spending a lot of money and also a lot of public reputation on bringing Joel Quenneville back into the league, because that's obviously not going to come cheap financially. And of course, there's public scrutiny on that for obvious reasons. But you don't do that if you're not really trying to get yourself out of the self-imposed hamster wheel that you've been on for the last 6 years.
The golden brick road for many NHL teams isn't like the Panthers, the Stanley Cup. It's playoff gate revenue money.
Yep.
And,
yeah. And granted, also, it did kind of help that when Florida made their management change, because let's be honest, it's easy to talk about the whole thing with Maurice and Tkachuk, which is fair, I get it, but it really starts in September 2nd, 2020, when they hired Zito. Because if not for him, Maurice doesn't show up, guarantee it, and Tkachuk probably ain't going to want to come here. Cody? It starts there. Because what he did, he saw, okay, we have Barkov, we have Huberdeau, we have Ekblad, the Bobrovsky contract, we can't move that. We at least have something to build around. Let's just go build around it. Problem is, for Anaheim, they don't have that. They don't have those established guys. They have people that could become that. I'm a huge fan of Leo Carlsson. But Leo Carlsson now is not what Sasha Barkov was in 2020. But he could be that eventually, but he's not that right now.
But here's the issue with Anaheim. They can only really give out one big contract right now, because listen to the guys they have up in the next year. This is all next year, by the way. Jackson Lacombe, Pavel Minchikov, Olin Zellweger, Carter Gauthier, Leo Carlsson.
That's a lot. And Dostal is up. Is he up this year?
Now.
Yeah.
I don't think all those guys stay, Cody. There's 3 or 4 of them, maybe. And you move 1 or 2 or whatever.
Yeah. So, but which ones you moving? Because I'm not moving any of those guys on the back end.
They might not be able to know the answer right now, Cody, but they're going to have to know it within this season.
At some point, they are going to have to make some decisions here. I mean, they already moved out Trevor Zegras. What did they get back for him? Does anyone remember? I don't remember.
What do you mean for Zegras? It was like a second and a fourth.
Yeah, that's it.
What's his name? Third line winger.
Boy, this whole panel has changed since the start of this.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, so. And remember, Zegras was supposed to be a core piece for them, and now he's gone, and all you got was a bottom 6 winger and a couple draft picks. That, I mean,
they're not doing
a quality scout, and they do have a good scouting staff in Anaheim, especially at the top of that department. But it's a second and a fourth. But how is that going to help you right now when ownership has told you need to be in the playoffs right now?
You're going to flip those.
But the stupid thing
I would hope. Who are you going to get?
The stupid thing is they're going to pay 3 goalies this season: Mrazek, Husso, Dostal.
Cody, I told you someone's going to pay Mrazek, but him going to another carousel situation as of right now doesn't make a lot of sense.
He's what, the 3rd goalie?
Are they worried that Dostal is not going to sign or something? Like, I don't.
That should be their guy.
They have all the cap space in the world. Why would they be worried? Like,
Dostal can get 40 to 55.
He should be 5 to 6 million AAV for me. Like, that's probably where right around it. And now,
are they flipping Husso or Mrazek again?
You'd have to think with they'd move Mrazek, right?
Yeah.
I'll say this. What about Edmonton? I think
Husso?
that's
or for
Mrazek.
They've looked at Mrazek since back to the World Juniors.
I know. That's why they've had interest. They've had interest in him in the past. I think we've seen how he performs with good teams. We've seen how he performs in bad teams. He's a good quality goaltender.
Is he really? I think he sucks.
Mrazek is mid. I think he's pretty mid.
If you can get to a cup again, I think a lot of teams lose because they think they were counting on Mitch Marner, Fabro, Ekblad, Bennett, or Marchand. You know, I think a lot of teams are losing right now, and those teams who sign. Hey, I think Utah moved Kesselring because they were in after Ekblad, and I think the consensus, Kirby. I know we've talked about this. That Aaron Ekblad early in the week, the consensus was he was gone, like he was not coming back.
The consolation for Utah on that front is that Kesselring, I think, played mostly second pair for them last year, mostly because of injuries. So it's like you don't need an Aaron Ekblad to replace him. Like you can get someone else on the market to do what he essentially did. Like, yeah, it sucks that you're not going to be able to get the guy you wanted, but it's not like, oh, we were counting on getting him.
But
I don't think Utah was like that. I do think they were trying to position themselves to make a run at people like Marchand or Bennett if they had hit the market. But since they're not, that being said, I don't think Utah is going to be short of players that want to play for them because they have ownership that's willing to spend. Salt Lake City's not a bad place to live. Especially if you like Dr. Pepper mixed with coconut cream, because apparently it's a big thing over there.
Isn't that just butterbeer?
No, it's Dr. Pepper with like coconut cream, and it's called Swig. I didn't know about it until like 2 weeks ago.
They need to burn that. But one thing,
because remember, Mormons don't drink alcohol, so they can't have like alcohol bars over there.
Are we really having this conversation right now?
Yes, we are having this conversation.
But here's the thing:
so Salt Lake's an interesting place. You're near the Rockies. You're near the mountains. You know, it's not a bad place. They're a team that I think is close to the playoffs. It's not like you're signing in the middle of nowhere for a team that sucks. You're signing in a mountain city for a team that I think is close to
I think
a huge step forward. To me, if I was a free agent, Utah was after me, I'd certainly give them a real look. I'd certainly give them a real chance.
I think you take a look at what they did with JJ Peterka. You know, they already got a big fish, right? So there's not like worrying, okay, Utah struck first. They were actually the first move that really set all this off. There are options in the trade market and lower down options in free agency that they can go after. I think the Peterka move alone with maybe a depth signing or let's say a trade or whatever is good enough. I mean, what are you laughing at, Vince?
Here's
David's having a beer in Salt Lake City right now. I didn't say they had no bars. I said they didn't have a lot of bars.
But here's the thing about Utah, and this is what worries me with them. It's just down the middle. They have all the wingers in the world. You know, Genther, Peterka now, Keller. I'm blanking on probably somebody right now. Let's
Cooley, are you thinking of?
Cooley's a center. So
yeah, Schmaltz. Yeah.
Yes, but they need to kind of like figure out down the middle. Like to me, Kirby, I don't know about you. I'm not looking forward to picking the playoff teams this year or trying to predict them.
Oh, I haven't thought that yet. It's July 1st.
I mean, I know he's probably not going to play right away, but when I look at Utah down the middle, I can see why they took Caleb Denoye at 4 because he gives them some size down the middle. I think my player comp for him was Sean Couturier. Yeah, but I think he plays a lot like a Sean Couturier kind of player.
That's high.
But it's like I talked to Nick last night. I'm like, dude, the Atlantic's going to be impossible to pick now because Detroit went on and got John Gibson now.
That should solve their goaltending.
It should, barring health. That's the only thing is health.
Yeah. Because at least they won't have to have like 5 different guys who could feasibly get games because that's never good.
Now, do they have anything?
I don't know. He's not going to that great a team where he was before. It's not a big upgrade. So that's the part with me.
What about their back end?
Yeah, they have not made any moves to improve their back end so far. I would have thought they'd have gotten rid of Justin Hall.
Who's the top defenseman on the market now? Like Gavrikov, I think, is going to New York.
Gavrikov's probably a Ranger.
You're going in James Cody was talking about last week.
Oh, gosh.
Waiver wire fodder, guys.
Like, I don't know, Zach. Like, because Zach Jones, I don't see for us because he's too small.
Orlov, maybe?
Oh, he's going to get overpaid again.
Grizzlick had 40 points last year.
Does anyone want Ryan Graves?
Anyone interested in Brian DeMullen or Cody Cece?
Doolin
If Detroit signs Cody Cece, you might
right.
as well just be bringing in another Justin Hall.
No, it's a Detroit move. 101.
Like it's gonna be so interesting now, but like I said, I still can't believe we got all three. Like
I was not in that camp. I thought that camp was a lot of hopium.
No, I did
Detroit
too.
does have a lot of holes.
I mean, I still think they were. You were
I
kind
still
of.
do. I'm not going to change my mind on that.
Oh no, just because it
Someone
happened,
had to abandon it was Ekblad.
and hey,
That's the name we talked about.
Ekblad went on both knees. Like that's how much he freaking bent.
But he does get the term, the extra year. Somewhere else, it's 6, likely 7, but you can say 6.
But if you
but there, even if he did bend, there is obviously a push and pull. There's like that with every contract negotiation.
And he wanted the term all along.
but 6.1, I don't have a problem giving him the term for that salary. Because
He couldn't have taken much lower than that unless you look at the Forsling number. It wouldn't have been any lower than that.
He was not going to take the Forsling number. That was never going to happen.
The Forsling number is kind of borderline disrespectful a little bit. But hey,
well, I said Forsling was going around that number. Everyone thought that was disrespectful. The Ekblad one is shocking to me.
Yeah, if it would have been that was the offer, like, oh, we'll just give you what Forsling got. If Ekblad would have probably walked out of the room.
Well, they gave us some lowball offer last year. How far off was it?
I assume they did, but they, obviously at the end of the day, they came to a deal. I wouldn't be surprised if
half they offered at 5 years, maybe last summer or something.
Yeah, like the shocking thing right now isn't Marchand extending, because we all had a feeling about that. And Kirby's tweet aged well now.
What one age one?
Your tweet saying the Bennett and Marchand deals were done, and now guess what? Both of them were done.
There we go.
So, but
they get a lot of information.
Ekblad taking the discount was shocking because every insider was leaning towards free agency. Friedman was leaning towards it. LeBron was leaning towards it. If you ask any Panther insider, they were leaning towards it. So,
especially when Fabro signed, didn't some people tweet? It's like, if I'm Aaron Ekblad, I'm licking my chops.
But the fact that Aaron Ekblad's only making $600,000 more than Nick Hague,
and Hague's a career bottom pair guy.
That was Barry Trotz is up there with some of the worst GMs in this league currently.
And remember, Tennessee doesn't have state tax either.
So he's going to have an interesting time here looking at the Ekblad contracts and comps moving forward this season and like into next season on our post-game X shows, and then obviously on the YouTube side here during the playoffs. So it'll be
Ekblad Center. He took a pay cut. I don't care.
It'll be interesting to look at the names, right?
Yeah, and it's funny. It's so funny. Like 2 years ago, half of we were listening to Spaces every freaking night. Half of the fan base wanted him gone for a fourth.
Pure cap dump kind of trade.
Yeah. Dump him then. Not on the new deal. Dump him on the old deal.
Dump him on the 7.5. Yeah.
There's a lot of people I thought, I met people at the rinks, Cody, that thought Ekblad was making more than what he was making on that last
I remember one of the times I went to training camp. I don't remember if Nick or Cody were with me.
Yeah.
But there was one person next to me who was like, you want to, I always joke the A on Ekblad's jersey stands for AHL because that's where he'd be. I came this close just turning around and punching him in the mouth. It was I didn't even know what he looked like. I was this close just turning around and punching him in the mouth. I'm like, you're just an idiot.
Listen,
I moved to the other side of the ring because I'm like, I do not want to stand near someone this stupid. I would catch it like it's a disease.
You're not a big Ekblad guy like Cody, but the misrepresentation on the guy and what he was making and what he is, what he's capable.
People were like he's getting overpaid. He's making 7.5. The hell you mean he's overpaid? He's perfectly paid. Hell, he's underpaid.
I'm just going to say this. The fact that not only took a pay cut from what the market was going to pay him, but for what he was already making, that's just, I thought a pay cut would have been around $500,000 either way of where he was currently. Or, I think, when you talk pay cut, I'm talking about what he can get paid out in the market. $7.5 million, if you would have re-upped on that deal, I would have considered a bit of a pay cut. He
took a damn near 20% pay cut.
And Cody, guys said they'll take pay cuts. Aaron Ekblad's Aaron Ekblad.
He lived up to it. He lived up to the words.
lived up to what he said.
No Ekblad slander for this year. I don't care. And for those of you saying, "Oh, you shouldn't raise your expectations on Sam Bennett," well, he didn't take a pay cut, but Ekblad did. So I better not hear nothing.
Quick
We
news
talked
break.
about the $7 million by about 4 or 5 years for Ekblad if we get the shorter term, but still at that same cost value, right, Nick? Or slightly above it for the 4 or 5 years. That was a contract that you and I were kind of peddling out there, Nick.
Yeah. Vince, go ahead.
Quick minor news break from David Dwork. They did submit a qualifying offer to Mackie Samoskevich before the deadline, and he is not eligible for an offer sheet tomorrow. So 99.99% chance Mackie Samoskevich will continue being a Florida Panther.
Unless there's something we don't know.
Possibly, but again, why would you trade him? So,
Lulu, you're absolutely correct. Bennett will be getting the Verhaeghe treatment from me this year, depending on the performance.
Vince, it would be for a big name or a big impactful player.
But what big name would we go and get right now? Because we've kept all our big names. So
I know.
Oh,
That's
freaking
the scope of things. I think it was more likely that Mackie would be traded out if a Brad Marchand.
I thought Erod was the guarantee to go.
Kirby, what are your? I know you want to give your thoughts more on spaces.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing that shortly. But initially, like obviously the 6 years for Marchand, you were like, for you personally, that was number one priority.
Yes.
Brad Marchand. What is your thoughts? I think the AAV, you don't have a problem with 5.5. The overall scope of the deal, the 6 year, 32.
Now those 2 years are dead because I said as far as I was going was 4. Some people said as far as they were going was like a 2 year. I would go 4. So
well,
I
was fine with 4. So, but I think he's
also,
done.
I would have done 4 at the very most. But the thing is, again, as I said earlier, I think the way they're structuring this 6-year deal is the last 2 years are going to be like $1 million in actual costs. Marchand will probably be so injured to the point where he kind of de facto retires. He just does a Dave Bolin to Shea Weber or whatever. And then they just park the contract with some rebuilding team that wants to be cheap and just needs to get to the cap floor, and that's it.
Yeah.
Sadly, the Arizona Coyotes don't exist anymore. Otherwise, I would say, oh, yeah, Marchand's going to be a Coyotes legend and play no games for them. Just add him to the list.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe they come back by the time Marchand's done. Because the league's going to expand at some point, probably.
We're getting some updates there. Anything else, gentlemen? I got to get something to eat here. We're going to be back.
Yeah,
later.
so do I. You probably heard the door knock. I got the dinner call 10 minutes ago.
Okay. Well, this is a good point to wrap. Cody and I might be joining everyone later. Nick, I appreciate you holding.
I'm not sure for me right now because
I'm talking a couple hours here, and then we're going to be ready tomorrow. What's the time again?
11:30 Eastern.
Okay.
I will be there at 11:30. You'll see me pop in and out.
Yeah, our capologist and prospect guy Vince to update us.
And then
I'm gonna have to update my spreadsheet of salary cap stuff. I just had it just to have on file.
Yeah, you might have
for everybody.
The good news is I can just plug in the numbers and everything will still work. So,
but for everybody, thank you so much for joining us on this breaking news edition of the Cats and Rats podcast. It's a live stream for this one. Kirby, Cody, thanks for joining us. Obviously, on a kind of a weird time when this happened. We appreciate Caesar and Jim from Full Press Hockey for joining us here. Thanks to Matthew H. He joined us for a short bit of time to talk about the Marchand deal and the Ekblad deal and where they were at during the week and how it kind of progressed to where it is now. So we appreciate, and we appreciate everybody in the comment section joining us at 3:30. We've been on for over 3 hours now. We're going to be on for 4 tomorrow. So we appreciate it. And remember, if you want this puck, JSA certified, you know what to do. I've said it millions of. Shout out to our sponsors, Caneswear and Jeremy Beckham with Becksells at Becksells FLA with Next Home Treasure Coast. And with that, as always, let's go Cats.
What's up, Cats and Rats fans? If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button before you head out. If you're listening to us on Apple and Spotify, make sure you leave us a 5-star review. And just like always, let's go Cats!